Right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in five, four, three, two, one, action. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in five, four, three. Hey, look at there. Got the camera up and running. Hope y'all good looking sexy people are doing all right out in Happy Land tonight. Let's get the hat off. We don't need no motherfucking hat. It's China, 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 right? We're all hanging out in China. I don't know which looks better. Let me see which looks better for the old Frank Monday show. Y'all good looking sexy people. That's all right. Oh, looks like my camera's a little bit dirty. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm happy, man. Welcome to the show. Frank Monday coming at you. Hey, what the fuck? Why is that so dirty? Jesus Christ. Something happened to my camera? Okay, now that looks clean, doesn't it? Wow, that's shiny. Welcome to the show, guys. Frank Money coming at you once again, like Finnegan, on another transmission. And I hope you are doing well. Welcome back, Wayfarer, Warrior, Wanderer, Wildcat. We're hanging out in China tonight. China, China, China. Um, just chilling like a villain, man. It's a Thursday. I told you guys I would go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like clockwork, as long as I've got hours on the StreamYard, which I don't anymore, sadly. So I can host one guest. If anybody's interested, let me know. I'll put it in the chat. If not, you're just gonna have me hanging out, monologuing with nothing else, man. Just me and the monologue. How about that? So let me type it in here. If you'd like to join the chat, uh, let what do I do? LM in. Let me know. That works. Huh? Yeah. So it is what it is, guys. I thought I would share a little something with you I found recently, talking about magic. Let's go ahead and get started with no further ado. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast, the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, he who was, is, and always shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to guide and protect us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere and the cleansing wind, to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those secret things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed. Abrahadabra. Yeah, good looking out, y'all sexy motherfuckers. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power. Silence is strength. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. We got a visitor in the ideas room, a Mr. E giving me a flower. I can appreciate that. Thanks for the flower. Make sure you check me out on let's see, how do I do this? Add ticker, add banner. Yeah, we'll add a banner. Make sure you guys check me out on buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Mm. There, that works. It says I can double click to update and drag to move it around. Wow. Isn't that fucking exciting? Well, look at that. I'll put that right up top. What if I could change the size of it, man? That's good magic right there. Yeah. So make sure you guys check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. China, China, China. We are broadcasting from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zomo, OP King, Frank Monday coming at you once again like Finnegan. So if you've got a yen to expand your kin, then let's get zen. Me and you, baby. Me and you, Mr. E. What does Mr. E mean? Can you tell me a little bit about that, man? Can you hear me okay? Are we transmitting? Can you guys hear it? How's it coming through? Is it clear? Is it dank? Mr. E. It's an interesting name you've got there, sir. I'm a little bit suspicious, naive, and dubious of that name. And your red rose. Why a red rose? You know, is there something in there, something encoded in the red rose? That makes me think of that old Nick Cave and the Bad Seed songs where the wild roses go, right? Cold blows the wind over my true love. Cold blow the drops of rain. I never had but one true love, and in Camville she was slain. I'd do as much for my true love as any young man may. I'd sit and weep beside her grave for 1 year and a day. You know that one? Didn't Nick Cave take that girl down by the river and slit her throat? Man, they put like, he said she was buried where the wild roses grow. That's pretty creepy shit, man. Pretty fucking scary. I've never killed anyone that I know of, you know, and I would never kill a girl. I don't guess unless she was trying to kill me, right? And I might. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, there it is. There. Let me see what we got here, man. This platform, Streamlabs, is not as good as StreamYard. I got to be honest with you. It's free though, and that's all you can do when you got to do what you got to do. You see a little shout out here to Team Evil. Team Evil. Guys, let's get into it. What is magic, right? Some of you want to know about wizardry, magic, and the occult. And here it is, chaos magic in a nutshell. This is a really good page. I found this from Free Gift from God, Black Magic Especial in the Lunar Light Entertainment chat right here. Here's the link, about to go live with Frank Monday. Blackfest. He posted this in the Lunar Light Entertainment Discord. So guys, make sure you join up on the Lunar Light Entertainment Discord if that's your thing. If you guys do the Discord, if you know how to do all that, then do all that because it's good fun. And I get behind the scenes a little bit, Yumi and the other guy, you know, and we do some Lunar Light Entertainment Discord. I like it. I don't like the fact that there's no music on this thing, though. Like, there's nothing I can do with this, man. This isn't StreamYard. This is StreamYard. StreamYard much better, but I'm out of hours, man. Out of hours on StreamYard. So we'll get into it over here, man. This is Peter J. Carroll's website, Specularium. Published July 2nd, 2024. 336,000 hits. What does that mean exactly? I gotta scroll back over here to check the chat, guys. See if you guys are chatting. Ain't nobody chatting. Look at this guy. He's just hanging out over here. Not chatting though. That's okay. That's okay. You can just come to listen. All right. Just hang out. There we go. In chaos magic, belief is treated as a tool of magic rather than as an end in itself. So it's a means to an end, not an end in itself. Yeah, so let's unpack that. Let's unbox it. as the kids these days say, right? As back in my day, we'd say, let's try to delineate that a little more, get into a dissertation on it. So belief is used as a tool of magic. I don't like how he doesn't differentiate here with the magic rather than ck. You need to add the k for the knowledge aspect because it's not stage magic, right? Hey, 007, good to see you, man. How the hell are you? I'm checking back in. There's a 30-second lag, bro. I'm here. How do you know there's a 30-second lag? How do you know that? How would you know that? Let me check it out over here. Look at this. Do you guys know Tony from Guangzhou? This guy's so good. So fucking good. What about Asmongold? Do you know Asmongold or Speed? Yeah, those are good. Really, really good. I don't know if you guys know all those guys or not, man. Those are my top three favorite YouTubers right there. Asmongold. Tony's not a YouTuber though. Frank Monday. What's going on, Frank Monday? How you doing, Frank Monday? You all right, baby? Good looking, sexy motherfuckers. Guys, we got to hit 1,000 subs at some point, man. 799. 7 motherfucking 99. Let's see how bad the lag is on this. 799. I want to hit 1,000, man. I'm almost at 800. Look at that. So close. Please hit the like button, guys. Is that so fucking hard to do? Jesus Christ. Hitting the lag button, that's that's like a rigmarole. It sounds like we're roboting too. Wow, is the sound really that bad? Jesus Christ, what up, Hugo? How you doing, man? Doing all right out there? There's a 30-second lag between the feed and the audience per turquoise waving. Voice here as well. Good to see you, man. I can appreciate that. Is the sound quality okay, guys? Because I just checked that fucking feedback loop and it sounded like absolute garbage. Man, that is really bad. Is that for real? The picture is good and clear. Sound is good. Okay. 007 says we're doing okay. I appreciate that, 007. Is that for real? Yeah, there's a lag from the fucking StreamYard too. Streamlabs. Streamlabs. This platform is gay, is what it is. It's fucking gay. It sucks bad. See, here's the thing, guys. Let me tell you. StreamYard only offers 20 hours of live streaming on the free account. So once you've hit 20, then you can't do any additional live streaming on StreamYard. So you have to jump over to the next free platform, which is Streamlab. And on Streamlab, it's really, really bad. And they only allow for one guest. See, I can add a guest, I copy the link, I hit this, and then I drop it in the chat, and you guys can join. But like sound quality and tools, and there's no music, and it's unknown to me. I've never really used it before. This is like the second or third time I've used it. But it is what it is. So if someone hide on StreamYard. I'm only getting 5 hours free on my StreamYard account, but 20 on the other. Okay, maybe I can open a second one. That sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna throw in my other earbud, guys. Maybe that'll improve sound quality. Let me double check that sound again. That was really fucking nightmare. Nightmare quality sound. Wow. So bad. So bad. Really good looking crowd of people we've got out there in Happy Land tonight, though, man. Thank you for stopping by, everyone. Make sure you hit the like. Let me see if any of you guys hit the like since I mentioned it a moment ago. If not, yeah, a couple of you hit it. Look at that. Look at that. A couple of folks hit it. Yeah, yeah, no, it sounds like the delay's only about 5 or 10 seconds on my end. So, ooh, almost hit the wrong button, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that off because that's costing 5 hour is new account, I guess, at 007. Good man. I don't know. Voice says it's not a new account. I don't know, man. I can't keep up with it. It's pretty hardcore. But let's get into magic. Like you guys know that I'm a magical practitioner, and I had never learned about see, we'll go this direction. Yeah. I had never learned about chaos magic when I was young, but it turns out that what I was practicing essentially by gathering all of these grimoires and doing magic, like I was doing chaos magic unwittingly. I didn't know that that's what I was up to. And it wasn't until much later, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe less, that a young guy here on YouTube, he told me about Peter J. Carroll and chaos magic, and I was like, "What the fuck is all this?" And I looked into it, and it turns out I've been doing chaos magic since I was a kid, man. I thought that just like disregarding all of the manuscripts and the magic circles and all of the shit they told you to do in order to do magic, I thought if you just used your intention and faith and will, that magic, if magic was real and I thought it was real, then I thought it should work. You should be able to run. Hello? Someone's talking to me. Did you guys hear that just now? Somebody chimed in. I think something hit my fucking earphones, like some kind of radio transmission. Yeah, so I thought if it is real, and I think it is real, then you should be able to do it without all of those accoutrements, right? Oh, did someone join? Yeah, we got a visitor. Good looking out, man. Good to see you. How the hell are you?
I'm
Let's
okay.
see. I'm trying to pull you on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on now. I'm on.
Is my sound quality really bad?
No, it's okay.
Okay, okay, good.
No, it's just good. It's just good. It's not okay. It's good.
Are you familiar with chaos magic?
Not that I know of. No, I think we
Let me
talked
give you
about
the
this
rundown.
because I'm
Did we
pretty much.
did we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean it's your thing, so yeah. Let me hear about it.
Yeah,
Chaos
let me give
magic.
you the run. Yeah, let me give you the rundown. He says chaos magic in a nutshell. And so in chaos magic, we believe belief is treated as a tool of magic rather than an end itself. And he's got Hassan Isaba. Do you know this person? Have you ever heard of an Hassan Isaba?
No,
They just call him the old man of the mountains. All right. He says nothing is true, but everything is permitted. What do you think about that?
yeah, that's pretty much Jack Talcott language. Just doesn't say anything. It's not
It's kind of
definitive.
an interesting statement, right?
Uh, nah, not to me, but well, I mean, it's just the first sentence. Everything is permitted and nothing is real. Come on.
You hear
Really?
me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me, boy?
Yeah. I can hear you. You cannot hear me, can you?
Good fucking God. Hold on, man. It's roboting on my end. I can't fucking hear anything. I'm
And
going to
Frank, when I look at
go ahead.
your icon, in the name that it says under your camera,
Oh,
there's a microphone icon, and next to it there's a range icon, right? And it shows a
okay.
dot, and on my end it shows like a full scale, so it's like 5, and you only have 1. So that's your reach, right? That's your
Okay.
that's your Wi-Fi, I think.
Yeah, so something's up with the internet. I don't know what it is. There's the only thing I could do is I could switch from the Wi-Fi that I'm using to my phone, which I'm kind of running out of fucking space on my phone too. So just I guess we're gonna have to roll with the punches. If it's too bad and I dip out, I'll come right back.
Yeah. So, but the issue is the internet connection. It shows 3 stripes now, right? It shows 5 stripes on my
I'm gonna try this, Voy. I'm gonna try disconnect my VPN. If I lose connection, I'll come right back.
Okay. I'll do some chaos magic in the meanwhile, I guess. Yeah, you froze. You froze. And now your internet is out. It says right. It says across there. So. There you are.
All right. I think that helped on my end, but I don't know if it helped on your end or not. We got some funny talk out in Happy Land. This guy says he's a big-headed cunt, and he has this notion that his soul is ancient, and he doesn't need the fluff and accoutrements. That's kind of a funny statement, huh?
I never heard of that word, but I can make out what it means. Accoutrements, like
All right.
it's the same as fluff, right? Enjoy the shell. Enjoy the shell. Now it says enjoy the shell. Now it used to say the present hell hotel, but now it says enjoy the shell. The present hell hotel. Yeah.
There it is, Hell Hotel. Yeah, we're still in hell, man. We're in the fucking 18th layer of the motherfucker right here. It's funny too. I don't know. Like I don't know if do you have much background into like Chinese spiritual culture at all?
No, not at all. Hardly any.
Okay. So one of the things that always struck me really powerfully about like their artistic representation in mysticism is the god of hell. Like he's a really scary looking dude. It's basically a Chinese dude in blackface. And do you know why his face is black? Because he stands in the fucking furnaces of hell and he's constantly burning bodies. And so he gets all of the soot on his face and he's always angry. And he sits in front of like a large ledger book for all the people dying and coming into the hell realm. And he's constantly, the bodies are getting fed in and all this ash and smoke is blowing on him. So he's not a happy dude, man. He don't want to fucking see you. And when you show up in hell, like he's displeased. He's like, you fucked up somehow. Let's figure this out, right? And yeah,
I forget his name, but doesn't he also have a similar function to Santa Claus?
Yeah, probably Krampus.
Yeah, because I did read into that, and I also heard of this one called Peng Shui. Peng Shui?
Yeah, feng shui.
No. Peng Shui. Not Feng Shui. That's like a method. But Peng Shui is a personality, a character, a mythical legend. But you haven't heard about that one? He's also like this Santa Claus. No, he's like the first god. Yeah, I think his name is Peng Shui or Peng Shui. It's not Feng Shui, but I think it's Peng Shui. And he was like the original, and he's also depicted with white and red clothing, just like Santa Claus. And I thought this was so like, what, they have a Santa Claus in China too, in the East. But you never heard of Peng Shui? No.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, let's get into this magic a little more.
How's the sake tonight?
Go ahead.
How's the sake tonight?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. It's nice. Refreshing. I have Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my basic pattern, Tuesday night, I have like minimal classes on Wednesday morning. I've got like one class before lunch. So I can chill like all Wednesday morning. And yeah, so I like to broadcast on Tuesdays. And then Thursdays, I like to broadcast on Thursday night. It's Thursday night here for me because Friday morning, I've got a couple of classes, but they're easy classes. And then I have the whole afternoon off. So I basically get a half day on Fridays. And yeah, so that's kind of my pattern that I've set up.
It's kind of a luxurious roster. I mean, gives you a lot of free time, right?
Oh, it is. It is.
And you're away from home, right? You're in the hotel. You don't have to care about your children or your spouse. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken some time though. Like I've been over here 25 years and I've been working my ass off to get to a point where I can be working for myself most of the time. And when I say working for myself, you know, enjoying free time and studying and cultivating and doing this kind of thing. Yeah, so it's only been something I've probably been able to enjoy for like maybe the last 5 or 6 years. COVID changed everything, right?
Yeah. So, but it worked. It worked in a good way for you, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Fuck, I was ready for a lockdown, and I thought I was under the impression that it was a response to my own chaos magic. Because I was like, fuck all this shit. You know, I'm done with the world. Just shut it all down. And then bam, the next year, everything's on lockdown. And I was like, oh God, I didn't want it this bad. Shit happens, man. You got to be careful. You get what you wish for.
Yeah, and a little bit more, right?
Yeah, and a little more, yeah. Oh. That's why I would make a distinction that chaos magic can be dangerous, right? I think that's why the magical practitioners set up so many safeguards and parameters for people to learn it. Because once you discover this grand truth that the universe is very responsive to your mind, and you can do things willy-nilly that bring about great downfall and hardship, and you have to be wary of it.
Mm-hmm. And you can try to make something work and it will not work, but then you don't even try something, but you do it and that works like way better than the things that you actually wanted to accomplish. And then there's something you just do, you know, with a little backhanded or sideways, and that works way better than the thing that you try to accomplish, right?
Yeah, the quantum physicists these days, they're talking about these parallel dimensions where you step left or you step right. People are always talking about like going up or going forward and stuff like this. And they're like, no, that's not the way it's done. You know, you take a step to the side and that's how you change your paradigm.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the magicians of like the 60s and stuff, these guys who brought a lot of this stuff forward, I think they really knew what they were talking about. Like they had discovered something through the use of like extreme self-elevation through like hallucinogenics and stuff, and like this grand shamanistic path, and they syncretized all of these different systems. And I think they really arrived at something. Like they brought forward a new understanding. I mean, it wasn't just their work. It was, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants, as it were. But they really brought forward like a new understanding.
Yeah, I think it was way easier back then to bring forth anything. Even when you, or especially when you read some of the philosophers' works or even the novelist works back in the early 1900s, they could foresee what was coming, right? And they had a very comprehensible way of describing it, like way more comprehensible than people can look into the future nowadays, right? It's like people need so many words that don't mean anything to get to the point, when back in the day they would be able to just use a few words to transpond the message, right?
Yeah, it's true. Like I grew up reading a lot of these guys that were, I don't know, late 19th century, early 20th century writers, because they were the ones that were commenting on these magical manuscripts from the Hermetic tradition that they brought forward from like the 15th and 16th century and the Renaissance and the Enlightenment and this kind of thing. And they articulated in a much different way than we do today. I think that one of the big influences in the Western mind, at least in America, was Hemingway.
Ernest
Ernest Hemingway. He was a journalist, and he reformed the basic pattern of our writing and thinking into a more simplistic fashion. I think it's beneficial in one way, but I think in another, like, it took some of the elegance out of our it took some of the elegance out of our poetry and the way we talk to each other and stuff. And it went from like really structured to this new style of like free verse, right? Like just say whatever the fuck you want, just roll with it.
Yeah. Just use common language, common people language. Yeah.
Right.
There's something to say. Well, it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, it always is, isn't it? Right? Like it cuts both directions.
Mm-hmm. What does that say? I almost cut every finger while working hard on my magic secret garden yesterday. So now I'll be slow typing. Only a few fingers injured. Uninjured. Only a few fingers uninjured.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Be careful with knives, Mary. It's interesting too. Like by the Chinese tradition, they tend to not want to allow women to use like serious cutting instruments. They think that this is a man's job, and they will for the most part they'll prevent it. They say that men should only wield a knife. And so they don't put women into jobs where they're required to do a lot of heavy chopping and like cutting with a tool. They can do clipping and they can do gathering, but the Chinese are very serious in their distinction between men and women and what jobs are appropriate.
I dig that. Yeah. It used to be like that here too, only 70 years ago or 80 years ago. It was like that here too. Well, not so extreme as they do it in the East, but yeah,
and it's to the level of superstition. Like one of the main reasons they give for that is they say be due to the fact that women can house and birth children, this act of cutting has the potential to chop off limbs of their unborn children, and so they say you should have to be extremely wary of it.
Yeah, it's not like a man can chop off limbs of children that they have. Right? It's like no. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like my wife, she was raised in the modern China where they're like extremely atheistic, scientific materialism. She always she'd laugh at me if I talked about God or religion or this kind of thing. And but then like when it comes down to the day-to-day, her entire routine is guided by ancient wisdom that she doesn't even know why. Like she just does it. And I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Where's your science now? And she's like, oh, I don't know.
Why are you being so moralistic and so traditional? You know.
Right. How does that fucking play in, right? If the whole cosmos is random chance, then why does it even matter, you know? But it does. It's very serious to them.
Hey,
Which is funny.
Did you hear that Tommy, Illumi Tommy mentioned you? He called himself Bobby Tuesday.
Yeah, he's been doing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, because you call yourself Frank Monday. He called himself Bobby Tuesday. So.
Yeah, but why me? He's got a heart on for me or something.
Of course he does. I mean, you kind of look like the guy, and he's a total egomaniac.
Yeah, we do look a little. We might be brothers from another mother, right?
No, not brothers. You could be nephews, right?
Yeah, well, I crossed paths with him this morning over at Jack's, and he got kind of upset with me. And so did Queen Stephanie, leader of Team Evil. He got pretty upset with me as well.
Oh yeah, Princess Steffi. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Synthetic Princess and there's Princess Steffi. Yeah.
Well, let's stick with Illumi Tommy for a minute. I watched Jack go back over to Tommy's place on Station 33.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, a week ago.
Yeah. And do like a long form interview and stuff. And man, they were fucking like I to be honest with you, Tommy on his own channel seemed way different than when he visits other people's channels.
Well, I think he just took a big hit of crack before he started the whole stream.
Okay, that's a possibility, yeah. Because he displayed all of the qualities that he said he would. Like he was equanimous, he was just, he was fair. He tried to moderate with like a sense of backing off and letting things happen, which was super surprising to me. I was like, fuck, I never would have expected that.
Did you see what happened to his forehead? He just fucking Klingon forehead, dude. He got so
what happened?
His forehead was in a constant wrinkle, you know, between his eyes.
Okay. From
between his eyes to the limit of his hair, it was just one big fucking Klingon forehead.
Yeah, he's been hitting something hard, and I'm suspicious that it's just not meth. Like he's getting some fent in there somewhere. He's got to be careful.
I think it's crack.
Yeah,
I don't know the effects of meth. You know, when you smoke it, of course, I use some ecstasy in my time, but that's a whole different ball game altogether. You know, speed and ecstasy. It's not the same as smoking meth.
Well, that shit's dangerous. Like when the Chinese got involved and they started adding all of these pseudo-veterans to it and stuff, like it's fucking deadly. You just have to be super careful, man. I mean, even with your weed, you know, you don't know if they're fucking blowing powder on your weed and stuff. So I would just say approach everything these days with extreme caution.
Yeah. Well, I just grow my own, you know. It's not going very well this year, but I'm still.
That's absolutely the best way. Miss Mary Moon, she's in the chat as well, and she does a really good job. She grows a lot of beautiful ladies up in Canada, and it's delightful. The only thing I can do, because I'm here and it's really forbidden, you know, taboo, is I pray upon the floor.
Which is a Dutch word, verboten. I only heard somebody say that like 2 years ago, and I heard like verboten. That's a Dutch word, dude. I
went to a German class today, so that was fun. Yeah, so my German's getting a little better, but not much. Oh God, I don't have my notes with me, but we learned about house and Arbeit Zimmer, the study in the house, and
Arbeitszimmer.
Arbeitszimmer. My pronunciation's terrible. I got a Chinese teacher teaching me German, and he laughs at me. He's like, "Your German he's like, "Your fucking German should be perfect. You look pure Deutsch."
You totally look Deutsch. Totally look Deutsch. Absolutely a German look on you. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good fun. I'm gonna continue going every Wednesday or Thursday. Today's Thursday. Yeah, I gotta remember.
You're being taught German by a Chinese guy. That's fucking hilarious, dude. Even when you're, I mean, especially because you're actually Frank von Montag. That's
Right,
easy.
right. And here's the funny thing: we're learning it through Chinese, so it's so much fun. Like I just, like when we have to talk about grammar points or something, like it's all done in Chinese. I'm like, this is fucking perfect, man. I love this.
Wow. I cannot imagine, dude. I cannot imagine.
Ik woon er een bahnhof bitte. Yeah, 007. Mary, everybody speaks a little German these days, a lot more than me. We went over.
You know what that means? Ik woon
I
er een
don't.
bahnhof bitte.
No.
Well, I think he wants to. I think he's trying to say, "I want to get to the railway station." But
Okay.
he's butchering it.
Yeah, wo ist der gute Straßen bitte? Where's
Wo ist der Gutenstraße?
Yeah, wo ist der gute Straßen bitte? Yeah, so it's good fun. I hope to learn more in the near, like, this year was my year to bone up on German.
Yeah. Well, I learned German and English in the same way, just by subtitles on the television. So, and there was only one or two channels, Dutch channels, when I grew up, and so we watched a lot of German. And the German channels that would come on Dutch television would all be subtitled, right? And so would the English and the American movies. So I actually learned to speak Dutch, German, and English just through subtitles. And then I got to school and I was like, well, you're going to teach me English and German? Well, I already know the basics,
Right. Yeah, that's good.
I didn't have to pay any attention in those classes. I would just be drawing pictures.
That's what I do a lot too. That's interesting that we have very similar tendencies, Voy. And I think, like, in Chinese they say 英雄所见略同, or great minds think alike. Yeah. And I think this is originally a Chinese saying, but it means that people that have similar tendencies in some way, they aspire to similar heights, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do that. I'll sit there and I'll draw, especially if it's a little bit less of an interactive class. Like I'll draw more pictures and I'll interact more with the page. And I noticed that we had, in this particular class, there were 5 teachers and 3 students. And everyone had their laptop open. And I was the only one working on just pencil and paper. And I thought, good God, you have an opportunity to come in and get a really dynamic character. Because this guy, Luciano, he's the teacher. And he's a Chinese guy. He's lived abroad for several years, but he speaks German, French, Spanish. He knows Latin. He knows Hebrew. He knows fucking Croatian. He speaks English perfect. His Chinese is native.
His name is Luciano. He's probably familiar with Italian too.
Absolutely. He said that his second language was Italian. And I thought, good God, just enjoy this character, What is better on your laptop than the dynamite teacher you've got in the classroom? Blew my mind. But they're using all kinds of tools these days, translators and this thing and the other thing. And
I even saw an advertisement for an actual Babel fish, right? From so there's this earbud that you can put in your ear. It instantly translates. It fucking
Hitchhiker's Guide.
And they even didn't call it Babel fish. And I was like, why didn't you call it Babel fish? It should be called. And why is it black? It should be orange or yellow.
That's right. I should look like a fish.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. But they didn't.
Ford Prefect.
Bad marketing, man. Bad marketing.
Yeah. We're at the end of the universe right now. This is the grand party. We're enjoying it day by day until it all unfolds.
Well, until it all breaks down, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And so for me, it was an opportunity to touch grass. Like I got myself a number 2 pencil, a yellow pencil with an eraser, and went in there just with paper. And, if I could get a sketch in and write something down. And then later I went and harassed the teacher later on, because he loves it. He loves to teach. And it's such a wonderful thing when you do meet people who love to teach. And then like it's a responsibility of the students too to empower the teacher, and give him that. You got to have that feedback loop. I've been in classes where people just sit there like zombies, and it's so
dude, yeah, just take it in, right? And they think that that's the best way. Let me tell you this one. When you said that, because I was drawing mostly, through high school, or not drawing, just sketching, right? And there was this one teacher. He taught us Dutch language, Dutch literature, and he was one of the best guys actually. But I made this persiflage of him. His name was Mr. Borst, which sounds very close to Mr. Worst, like Mr. Sausage, right? And so I made I made a dig of his nose. And it was actually one of the kindest guys. He didn't deserve that at all. But I just made that drawing. And then, because I was drawing so intensely, he came by my table and he said, "What are you drawing?" I said, "Oh, well, Meneer Borst, I was drawing this." And he looked at it and he laughed. He said, "Can I have that one?" I said, "Of course you can have." And he actually put it, stuck it on the back of the blackboard for it to be there the whole year, right? So when when he closed the blackboard, it would show that picture of Mr. Wurst.
That's so funny. So funny.
He appreciated that, right? Yeah.
And those are I think those are the key moments, like when something coalesces like that. That's when the learning actually happens. You have to participate. You got to interact with it, no matter in what way you do it. Yeah. You're always going to derive much more benefit from that.
Well, he actually gave me a present at the end of that year or the next year, because I passed that year and it looked like I wasn't going to pass, And so he was surprised. He said, "Wow, I thought you weren't going to pass this year, but you did. So here's a book for you." I still have that book.
Okay, wonderful. I do that too. Like if a student makes an extreme effort or something happens throughout the semester where it's really touching and memorable, like they get an A no matter what, even if they fail everything else, it's like, fuck, you did something. Because so many people travel through the world in their day to day, just like NPCs, they're just not even involved. A Chinese person told me a new translation on NPC recently. They said it's a normal person complying. I think I told you this. Maybe did we discuss this already?
No, I didn't hear that one. But,
Okay. Yeah, they said that's how they're translating that into Chinese now. Like they said, "What is NPC?" They didn't know, so they just said, "Hey, it's just a normal person complying to the rules," And I was like, "Fuck, yeah, that makes sense."
When I read these abbreviations, I normally don't look them up. And I just try to make sense of it. And I will come up with a similar explanation, like normal person complying, which it covers the load, right? It's the same as a non-player character, right? Non-playing character.
Yeah. And that's the way to do it too. Like you got to circumvent, get around it, because there's so many things coming out. The German teacher, in fact, he asked me. He said, "What do the kids these days mean by lit? L-I-T?" He's like, "Doesn't that mean good?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what they're saying. Lit AF or whatever."
No, it's drunk. It means drunk, right? Drunk.
Does it really? Like you're lit up?
Yeah.
And there are always so many new things like that coming out that you can't keep up with them. And especially the older you get, you have to more and more just kind of fill in the gaps, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I don't like looking things. Well, I don't mind looking things up, but you know, if it's so generic, I'm like, well, I will get the message. I will get the meaning later on, you know, if we do it a couple more times. But the funny thing about the LOL, you know, laughing out loud, the word LOL in Dutch actually means fun. Lol. That means fun in Dutch. We have a lol. We're having fun, right? So
Okay.
LOL was, I mean, I didn't have to look that up because it actually means the same in my language. Having fun. LOL. It's crazy how that works.
It's another reason why I really appreciate this platform, because most of my conversations occur with people that are other than native English speakers, and so it's always super interesting to get the a perspective from outside the box, right?
Yeah.
Like one of my best friends that I did this entire channel, the first whole I believe 2 years we did live streaming together, was Frater Tomas, who was a Swedish guy. And I met him here in Beijing, and we had like a 10-year relationship where we did a bunch of shit over here, like business things and stuff. But it always just it astounded me that English wasn't his first language, and it wasn't even his second language, right? You know, it was French.
They're so good at English. They are.
Yeah, French and Italian and Spanish and all of these other things came before he even started learning English, you know? And to meet people like that and then just be able to discourse with them and be like, what the fuck, man? Because most Americans, they're monolingual, you know? They only speak American.
Yeah, and that they might know some Hispanic, which they butcher, you know, to no ends. It's like, ¿Cómo estás ustedes?
Right.
They really don't put any effort into it.
No, and it's only because of overwhelming numbers. You know, they're being ousted by Spanish, like, you know, Mexican speakers in most locations now. It's just becoming a part of the culture, which, you know, good, bad, who can say? Like we said earlier, it's a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I've never felt much negative blowback from the Mexicans myself. I grew up in LA, so I was surrounded by multicultural communities all the time. And it didn't bother me. You know, they jumped me. Sometimes I'd wander into a neighborhood that was all Mexicans and they'd beat the fuck out of me, you know, or whatever. And it's just like, hey, you know, that's just life. And then a lot of the times, you know, they would but I got to be honest with you, the Chinese communities were the only ones that seemed the most peaceful, to be honest with you, from my perspective, growing up in LA.
And what's that one? Did you say the Eastern or the Chinese? Because I think Japanese, right?
Chinese specifically, yeah. I never had much encounters with the Japanese per se.
I think they're even more. How do you say this? Even more civilized, even more
even keeled.
Yeah, even more moralist. Well, not moralistic, but moraled. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Since then, I have had encounters, and they're far more rigid in their culture and like strict in their principles. Yeah. And if you do visit Japan, I don't know if you've been over there or not, but they absolutely order their society from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like you have to carry a wash rag on one side and a trash bag on the other. You can't drop trash anywhere. There aren't even trash cans in the city. If you generate trash, you take it with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you smoke a fucking cigarette, you better carry an ashtray, you know? They're very serious. Very clean.
Well, I live in this I don't know, it's in a very wood-rich area. You know, there's many forests around me, and
that's nice. That's nice.
It's not like that everywhere in my country, right? There's a lot of farmland and there's a lot of cities, but this is called the Green Heart, right? So I live in the green heart because it's in the middle and it's green. And it's protected because there's still some old, how do you call this? People that own land, people that own forests. How do you call this? Some
Lords, like landowners. I don't know.
Yeah, landlords, actual
Landlords, yeah.
that own great acreage of forest, right? And it's still in their hands when well, we know what happened in the last 200 years. They tried to get rid of those people, right? Try to get rid of those, but it's still here, and somehow they still protect it, and it's going to be here forever. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good magic. And they're increasingly less and less of those places. Like, I'm really blessed too, because my academy, like just south of us, we have like, I don't know, like 15, 20, maybe 30 acres of wooded property that they haven't developed yet. Whereas like everything else in the city is just choked out with development. And so I can take a break anytime when I don't have class and just walk out into the woods and see squirrels and bunnies. And I saw a fucking rabbit today, giant rabbit. I thought, good God, man, how did that rabbit get so big this early in the year? And magpies. And I have another colleague who's a bird watcher. I forget what those guys are called, entomologist or something, a naturalist. But he takes binoculars out and he watches birds in the woods. And he turned me on to the thrush. It's a bird called the thrush, THRUS, or thrush. And there's all different kinds of thrushes out there. And now I'm looking for birds, and I'm like, I've never even seen these birds before, but suddenly they're there because someone mentioned them. And it's like, it's so powerful how magic is, that they call it the reticulator activating system. Like if you buy a certain car, suddenly you notice that car is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. You think about weed, suddenly you notice weed is growing everywhere.
I bought this new bicycle a couple of months ago. It was like a butter yellow bicycle. I didn't want it for the color, but I just needed that frame. The beach cruiser frame, right? With the the beach cruiser with the round. Yeah. And so I said to this guy who I bought it from, I don't care which color, this one or that one, because he had two frames, beach cruiser. And he gave me the yellow one like a month later. I said, yeah, I want to buy it, that one. He said, which one? I said, I don't care. And he gave me the yellow one. I was like, a fucking butter yellow bike, mother of pearl hue on it.
Ooh, nice.
I didn't want that, but it's like, well, it's kind of cool. And I thought, I never saw a fucking yellow bike, right? And then of course, and then your eyes are out for yellow bikes. Oh, there's a yellow bike. There's a yellow bike. What the fuck? There's yellow bikes everywhere. I thought I was exclusive, but no.
Right. Like a moment ago, I was going to mention, you said that, you had done some of your own cultivation, and maybe it wasn't perfect this year or whatever. And one of the things, like, I like to smoke a little of the flower from time to time occasionally. And since I've been over here in China, because it's so strict, like, I didn't think about it for years. I just had my nose to the grindstone, working this kind of thing. And I'm like, fuck, I need a little something to put the jelly in my donut. And it was autumn time. And I went out with my Boy Scouts troop. Like I was acting as a Boy Scout leader. And I suddenly found this wooded area where it was filled. And there was like 100. It was in the autumn. We did our autumn trip. And there was like 100 and something 50 plants, all at the perfect time of like fruition. Their flowers were out. Their flowers were beautiful. Everything was like in a dried state, but still at like the crystallization stage. And they had some seeds in them, they were obviously hermaphrodites. But I went right back to my fucking car and I grabbed a trash bag and I ripped every single one out by the roots. And I ended up with like 2 to 3 kilos of herbage. And I took it all back and I sorted everything. I sorted Sims and seeds and flowers. And I'm like, I got a whole fucking bag of seeds. Yeah, good man. Good man. I'm like, I got a whole bag of seeds now. And I'm going to be like Johnny Appleseed. I'm going to put this shit everywhere. Yeah, it's so nice. So nice, man. It's such a.
I'm creating this this bonsai forest. It's the forest of Lork. And it's in the second year. It's getting there, dude. It's getting there.
Yeah, and you've got a right to do that. You know, you're empowered. You're entitled.
Yeah.
Not here though. Not here. I would be very wary of that. I've tried it a couple of times on my porch. I have like a balcony, and I tried it. And my mother-in-law, like, she intentionally killed my shit every year.
What the fuck?
And motherfucker, like, somehow they know. Like, they do a report here, and they give it to the gardeners, and they show them like what an opium plant, like opium poppies look like, and they show them like they have an entire sheet, like it's got like 15, 20 different plants on it, and they're like, if you see this plant, kill it because it's toxic. And I saw their fucking ad one time.
That's criminal, man.
It is criminal. It is criminal. Because it grows everywhere naturally, and it's a natural. It's a thing that the cosmos, the universe, offers us as a little bit of succor, you know, from the pain of life. Like, we shouldn't have to fucking struggle our entire lives and constantly endure suffering. That's horse shit. We need to have happiness and enjoyment, and a little bit of the vino or the vine, you know. Yeah. And I really find it distasteful that the organization of the world would think that, you know, only tobacco and alcohol is permissible. It's like, what is that? What is that? You know, yeah. Who said that? Who made that a law?
Who came up with that? Yeah.
But again, that double-edged sword, I could see where it goes in the opposite direction. The Chinese are very wary because of the Opium Wars only 200 years ago, you know. The British Crown demanded that they allow the trade of opium within their country, and it turned a lot of fucking people into useless vagabonds and killed a lot of people and made a lot of people sick. And so they felt that you know, their reaction to that was, hey, how about fentanyl for the rest of the world, right? Why don't you go? We'll turn all of you into flacca zombies and it's not. I think that, like, Jack's message is stopping war, and I think part of that is we need to learn that in order to stop war, we just need to cease attacking, right? We need to end war, just end war, right? I told him this morning, I was on a chat with Jack, and I told him I think the truth is very simple. Right? It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to obfuscate it or say it's this, that, or the other thing. If you want to end war, just end war. And we need to end all wars. Like, I don't want to have wars with people here on my channel. That's why, like, people who come over and want to just throw stones and throw shit, I don't want to invite them on. And I'd rather fellowship with people and try to learn something.
Yeah, same here, dude. Same here. But you don't get too much flack or trolls, do you?
No, not too much. I got a small channel. I'm still under 1,000. I'm trying to get up over 1,000 subs though, because that's the only way that YouTube will allow monetization, right? And I've noticed, like, they've been driving really hard on the ads recently. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everyone, but it seems like even the live streams that are not normally monetized also get ads now, which seems strange to me.
Yeah, that happens.
Like, I was watching a Powder Dusty, a flow state transmission, and it started interrupting with ads. And I thought, wow, that's really weird.
Like, it starts with an ad, and then there's an ad every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He just as a content creator, you can choose, like, how commercial do you want this to be? Like, how many?
Okay, is that what it is?
Yeah. And so he went full max on that. You know, clearly.
Okay, so you can choose the frequency as a content creator.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And you can also choose the sort of advertisements that one gets, right? So you can choose to be like, I only want advertisements for natural things, so coffee, or just yeah. You can choose. You can also choose you can choose the frequency and some sort of products.
Yeah, that's interesting. The other thing I've noticed a lot is like people have been talking about the dead internet theory, and it seems like more and more like my feed has been overwhelmed with AI everything, AI fucking thumbnails, AI imagery, AI voices, AI scripts, and it's like I can't click on a single fucking thing. It's 9 out of 10 now.
Yeah.
Like even the channels I sub are getting less and less exposure on my general feed. And so
I don't even use the general feed. I only go to subs. I don't even go to general feed. I always go to my subs. I don't even, the general feed is just, I mean, that's been back in the day when YouTube was cool. You could actually, when you opened YouTube and without any how do you say this, accentuation, it would just show you the newest videos that were
right. You can see what's hot, see what people are talking about.
Yeah, or not even what's hot, but just the newest videos. You would just see the video that had 0 views, right? Because they were just uploaded. But
wow,
I mean, that's been that's like 10 years ago by now, right?
20
20 almost. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've noticed it degenerating over the last few years with the so-called AI and stuff, but I honestly don't think it's what people want, and I don't think it's not what I want, and I'm a people, right? And so when I tune in and I look at that, I'm like, God, this is really bad. Like some of it's okay, some of it I turn on to, some of it I turn off of. There's one channel I watch. It's called Grim Face Motivation. I think this is how it is. But anyway, I'm putting it in the chat so that other people can watch it if they want. And I've covered a few of his videos, but he uses all AI imagery, and I can see that he's tailoring it. But his message somehow is derived from, I believe, his own essay writing, and it's good stuff. It's basically like stoic type thing, like stoic type teachings. But his level of output is so high that it's either a team of people or it's nearly entirely AI, which seems really dubious to me.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I used to write songs with a friend of mine, and the band that we never had, we called the band Stoic. Right? We called the band Stoic. We had a brand. We were just playing around with the ID, right? But we called it Stoic. And my nephew, he started a band with his friend, and he never heard any song made by me and my friend, but he called his band name Stoic too. So I it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy thing, and I think we should be wary of it, and I think people like it comes in floods too. It comes in like waves. Like I recognized a wave maybe a year ago, and it was really intense, but it was all very half-assed. And then I recognized recently another upsurge in this type of thing, but it's a little more professional. Not a lot though. Like I've been using Chat GPT since they launched it and using it for different things, and I've noticed its quality varies. But here's the thing too, like they had these systems were in place in 2011.
Oh yeah.
when Yeah, when China launched their WeChat platform, are you familiar at all with WeChat?
No, no.
It's like the Chinese WhatsApp, so it's a communicator.
Yeah, I know
And
that.
okay, I actually I worked for CCTV. That was my first job when I came over here, and Tencent invited me to come in on one of their like think tanks, and I worked with them on transforming QQ into WeChat. So I had some input on this system. And one of the things I had like it was me and like 25 young guys, and they had me in sessions where I was able to do like lectures and seminars on like emerging technologies. And I did a lot of research. I like read Harvard Business Review, The Economist. I was reading all of these kind of things as I prepared my lessons. And I would go in and I would give a lecture, and then we would have a discussion group, and then they would actually go into like tech stuff. And so I was on this team, like the original WeChat team before it launched in 2011. And one of the things I told them, I said the underlying principle always has to be simplification. I said if a child can use it and a grandmother can use it, then everyone can use it.
Yeah.
And I said that has to be your basic rubric. And they did this. And like all of the ideas I gave them came out because we were looking at everything. We were looking at Facebook. We were looking at everything on the market at the time. Instagram. WhatsApp wasn't created yet. But QQ and all of these things. And I said, most of these things are overwhelming, even for me, a guy in his mid 30s. I was in my mid 30s or whatever, or no, 2011, maybe late 30s, whatever. And I said, if even I find this technically challenging, I said it needs to be reduced to the absolutely lowest common denominator. And I was really happy with like at product launch and stuff. And like, I got on the new system and I promoted it. I was like really heavy on promoting it here in China, like with social media and stuff like that. And I did really well. I got up to like 10,000 subs on my particular thing. And then like they limited it at that point, and then everything started to change.
Yeah.
Like,
so when
it started.
When did the change happen? When what year was that? Around what year?
Probably 2015. About 5 years. 5 years later, something like that, approximately.
Okay.
So within that change, all they did was they made it the exact opposite. It could still be as simple as you want. Like it still has that aspect of it of absolute simplicity, but at the same time, it morphed so that it has this underlying thing where everything can be attached to now.
Yeah, I know what you speak of, because that's what made me dissect from Facebook. I met this friend of mine from the old days, right? And then it said, well, this guy posted something, but you cannot see it because you're not in his friends group or you're not in his business group. And I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
I stopped caring so much about it. I was like, no, I wanted to be more. That's probably why I still like YouTube, because it's simpler, and of course it's also diversified. You can diversify on YouTube too, right? It's almost like a Facebook and a Twitter too by now, but still, it's simpler.
Yeah, it is, and it still has some anonymity, and that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I tried to reinforce, and you could still get that on WeChat, and like they still offer that experience. But here's the thing, here's where it changed entirely. It went from something that's considered social media and separate, where you can be an alter ego, and it's like, here I'm communicating with my friends and so on, and now they tried to integrate the two between your work life and your money and your banking and your investment and all of these things. And now it's a one app that covers everything. Like, and they demanded it during the COVID lockdown. You couldn't leave your house without WeChat. and without a full profile and your ID scanned into it. So it became Black Mirror during COVID, and they enforced it nationwide.
Yeah.
And they removed money during 2020.
Yeah.
Cashless society based on WeChat. They went full Black Mirror in 2020.
Yeah.
And that's what and Elon Musk, he said that when he launched X, he said, I saw that and I want to be a fucking WeChat copycat. I want to do the exact same thing with the X platform. He said, I want to lock it.
No, Elon Musk doesn't have any opinion by himself. You know, that's he's an actor, right?
Like Jack Ma's an actor. He's out Alibaba, right? He got taken out of the equation. All these guys are actors, right? It's guys like me that are behind the scenes putting the ideas into it. That's my IP. A lot of that is my IP, like even frames and shit. I worked on fucking like some of the script on this stuff. And like I helped the guys, the engineers who made the scripting.
You've been abused. You've been abused and you didn't get paid enough. But
never will. Who cares? And I did it out of love for the thing to be something useful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay. And that's all I was. That's why I felt betrayed. Like my first account, my first WeChat account, it's got like 10,000 subs. I got like tons of shit. And like if I posted something, it got thousands and thousands of likes and stuff like that, because it's like the X, the Twitter of China. And I stepped away from it. I locked it out. I'm like, nah, I'm done with it. I said, you guys fucking shit in your nest with me. And I'm like, you took what you got, and I got paid for that, at least my hours and stuff, basic salary. But other than that, I'm done. I'm not going to continue to put energy into it. Kind of a fun thing, though, and kind of a fun thing to see it emerge and become like, what, 1 billion fucking people sub to it now, And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, you were at the start of that, right? And you actually helped it on the ground. Yeah.
I was at the transition phase. Well, it started with QQ. They already had a sub base, it was QQ, but it became WeChat, which was something entirely new. And our the system over here, I don't know if you remember MySpace or not.
No, I never was on it, but I remember people referring to it.
Yeah, there was like MySpace and GeoCities and all of this. So when I first got over here and I was at college, like university research student, they asked a lot of stuff about this, and I noticed they were copycatting that, like page for page. Their entire framework, coloration, everything was exactly the same. Wow. And yeah, I got involved with that with Renren. We had what was called Renren Wong, and that's how they found me originally. And they're like, hey, you're an American, you're over here, what do you think about this? What do you think about the other thing? And I'm glad that they asked, and I'm glad I had an influence, because it did make it like even until just recently, there were never any ads on the platform at all. Like I said, you have to keep it fucking ad free. If people see an ad, they're immediately going to feel unhappy. Like it's going to take the jelly out of their donut. Nobody wants to see that. They want to be here to talk to friends and socialize and have fellowship. And they don't want to be advertised to, but that's where the money is. Yeah. So you can't avoid it ultimately. But they did avoid it for a long, long time.
Well, YouTube avoided it too for a very long time, right? Very, very long time. Almost 10 years. Like, almost 3. And it's like,
when you run ads hard enough, people will tune out and they'll ultimately abandon it, because that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
We know how to buy shit. We don't need to be influenced to buy shit. That's a part of our fucking life, culture, and everything.
Part of these ads, the ads that are shown on BitChute and Rumble, it's like, what the fuck are you showing me? A pair of feet, and like, this is like, why do you want to show me feet? That it's not about the ad. It's not about. There's something else going on that they wanna introduce to you. Like, what the fuck? This is not an ad for feet relief or for exhaustion relief through this thing that you can put on your feet. There's something else there. It's not about the product. It's about the ad being there and the pictures being shown to you.
It is. I found that really weird too. I've noticed that a lot recently. Like I do the general Chinese TikTok scrolling a little bit throughout the day. You know, I'm looking for fat asses dancing around and stuff. I gotta be honest, you know, it's a little bit of a dopamine release, you know, when I'm in the
I can imagine. I mean, there's hardly any fat asses in China, I guess.
It's all fucking plywood flat, you know.
Shit,
good God. I mean, it's a nightmare. What are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well.
And so, yeah. And I'll notice that they'll throw in like these really demonic and dire type images. And I'll be like, what the fuck is this? I just got to turn it off immediately because you get sick to death of it. It's like, and here's the thing too. I don't know, you know, maybe we do need that blowback occasionally, but I don't think so. This was a point that was brought up on Talcott show, Jack Talcott, recently, that someone said that people want to see evil in the world, and it's because of people's desire to see evil that there is evil. And I thought, that doesn't seem right to me. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think that's clearly a message of the devil himself. You know, people want to see evil. No, people aren't evil. People are shocked by evil. You know, whenever somebody makes a statement like that, I think of children. Children don't want to see evil. They don't even know what evil is. They, you know, unless they are evil. Of course, there is also characters born into this world that are evil from the beginning. You know, and so some of them, but they are not the rule. They are the exception. And somehow, you know, I mean, don't they want to make all exceptions the rule these days? Isn't that the whole agenda? Right?
It seems to be. It seems to be the general tendency.
Yeah. Like,
and I would agree. Like, I remember even like my basic Shifu and Shaman when I was a young man and I was reading all of his books, you know. He said that in general, people are, you know, 60, 70% good. And they may have some negative tendencies and some bad habits or something like this. He said, but nobody wants to see evil in the world. And I reflected on this and I thought, and because there's a certain individual out there, we'll call him Stephanie, you know, hello. And this is his whole general thing that it's like a hell realm. And I reflect on it. It wasn't him in particular. Maybe it was one of his minions, you know, that was in the chat. But I was in the chat and I saw this and I tried to reflect on it and ask Jack about it. And he didn't give me much of a validating response. But I thought about like, okay, I'm walking down the fucking street and somebody gets hit by a car and their goddamn head is cut off. You know, and there's disaster and blood everywhere. Is that something I want to see? Absolutely not. No, never. And so in my mind, I don't think evil can be successful. And I don't think that people want to see evil. They don't want to see hardship. They don't want to see homeless people and people in poverty and people in disease. And I honestly, for the general, because I don't see it. Like I get up every day and I go about my daily life and I know I'm in a very ordered society, but I see people struggling towards good, you know, trying to make their lives better, trying to, you know, do a little bit of work or whatever and get things done in a fashion that promotes health and well-being. And yeah, so that really struck me as absolute bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, though, that I did watch a lot of videos in the past year, of Ukraine and Russia, right?
Yeah. And Israel and Gaza. Let's get into it.
I'm not interested in that at all.
Okay. Go ahead. Russia and Ukraine. Yeah.
I mean, I watched these videos of the soldiers that wore the body cams, and or all the videos that were made from drones. I watched a lot of that, dude. I did, I got a bit bored after watching it for like a couple of months, but and I don't watch it anymore. But what is it inside me that wants to see these burned bodies, right? These scorched human beings, and that just lay there to rot in. Well, I don't know, but somehow I think it tells me more than the whole political story behind it, right? There's just people dying there constantly on a daily basis by the hundreds per day. By the hundreds per day. That's, you can't imagine that, it's, but when you see those pictures, it's true. Well, there can be so much fakery, but these pictures actually come across as real. And
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever heard about the girl from Nanjing. She was a researcher that studied deeply the rape of Nanjing and World War II when the Japanese invaded into China. Have you heard about that?
No.
Okay, so there's I think it's called the Nanjing Massacre or the Rape of Nanjing, and there was a young girl down there. I believe she was originally from Shanghai, but she went into Nanjing and she studied all of the old black and white photos and microfilm and documents of what happened during that war, and she published a lot of the pictures, and they were available in 2003 online. And because I was at university here in China at Tsinghua University, so I had some like collegiate access to these files, and I looked through thousands and thousands of images of black and white photos of the Japanese chopping off Chinese people's heads and standing among dead bodies. And for me personally, like, being exposed to this was extremely traumatic. And imagine seeing like a Great Wall of China behind a butcher with a huge ringed sword and a chopping block in front of him, a dead body spewing out blood, a head to one side. But then behind him is an entire wall of people's heads stacked one upon another. Have you seen this image before?
No, but you paint the picture pretty clearly. So
Yeah. And it was pretty fucking gnarly. And like every image, they said you should look at it. You don't have to, but you can. And so as I looked through them, like, I nearly vomited on each one, and the sorrow and hardship. Some of the eyes are open, some of the eyes are closed, but like they literally cut off head after head after head. And I had to read these newspaper articles where the Japanese officers would walk through the streets with their samurai swords and decapitate farmers like NPCs. They said these guys are like cattle. They don't even respond. We could chop off one head of the guy standing next to them, and the guy next wouldn't even flinch.
Right.
And I was like, and my father even told me of stories. My dad was here during World War II and was trying to train Chinese to fight the Japanese and the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, in fact. But he said they wouldn't fight. He said they'd walk out with their guns and just be shot. Like he said the Chinese were like pandas. They won't even fuck to save their own lives. So for me personally, like, that was a hard thing to endure. But this girl, she wrote that book. She committed suicide shortly after because the imagery was just more than she could handle.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Those images are no longer available, and the internet, the entire internet has changed.
The early 2000s, the internet was the Wild West, dude.
Absolutely.
I mean, so many people. I heard this story of a guy, and he said, like, he wanted to do some research, right? And like the best research back then was, internet research.
Oh yeah, databases,
Dude,
IRC.
everything was there. You could get into any
Absolutely.
database. You could get into any statistics. It's not like today or even 10 years ago. It was still kind of free.
Yeah, even 10 years ago, like CIA Factbook would publish all kinds of demographic databases. No longer. They don't do it anymore.
I mean, and then 2018 came, right? And then then the censorship really got toughened up a bit more. And then 2020 came, and now it's total censorship. Now we even have people being jailed for memes, and not only in England, also in my country, and also in America.
Everywhere, innocuous comments, shit that was deemed free speech just yesterday is now considered to be totally verboten and taboo. And good God, it's criminal, right? Yeah, it's bananas.
I can't say. Well, talk about bananas. Once upon a time, I placed a banana emoji in chat, and this guy, Nachiketa, got totally flipped out because I put a banana emoji in chat. I didn't even address it towards him.
Do you know what a banana is to Asian people? Now you might, huh?
It means happiness, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
It's an Asian person who acts white. It's a
I
very
know, right?
Oh, you know that? Okay.
Yellow on the outside, white on the inside.
That's right. That's right.
But to Filipinos, it means happiness.
Okay. Yeah, see, different things, different strokes for different folks, as they say, right?
I didn't know that was a thing. Only because only because he told me, and he laughed about it because he did an interview on Brian Staveley's, and so he said I was called a banana back in the day, because and then he explained it like white on the inside, yellow on the outside, and
that's so funny. Look,
and he was attacked by everybody in the chat, right? Because he was defending the Mandela effect Congress. I don't know. Some people that were Mandela affected organized a get together, and everybody that was somewhat Mandela affected looked at it and said, "Wow, this is real shit. This is shit. This is not about the Mandela effect. This is just one big psyop to range everybody into the mental department instead of actually acknowledging what's happening." And so, but he was defending it, and everybody was attacking him. And I was thinking, well, I'm not going to attack him, but I will place a banana in chat. And so, to divert from all the attacks, he took on the feeling, how do you call this, being the victim of my banana in chat. And it became a fucking thing, dude. It became a thing back in 2020 or 2019. And well, it didn't work on him, But
well, I honestly, I like Nachiketa a lot.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I can't listen to him much because and here's the problem, and I just want to expose this personally. I've found that when people come from a very desperate place, like a place of extreme hardship, they're much harder to relate to. Like, I'm not saying that I came from a huge financial background or something, or I was born into nobility, but I came from a really well-balanced family that was, like moderately successful due to my father, and lots of brothers and sisters, and we were all like very happy. And so I came from like a really well-balanced family, and I always found that people that came out of the hood, like I was really close to the hood, and I went into the hood all the time, and I'm basically a hoodie. But people who came out of like extreme desperation and sorrow and from broken homes, they always tried to attack you at some point, no matter how fucking nice they seemed up front. they harbored this desperation and sadness within them, and no matter how much you tried to help them, they couldn't overcome it.
Yeah.
And we tried, believe me.
That experience, Frank. Yeah.
Have you? Yeah. My
father
father was one of the.
Go
ahead.
We weren't as wealthy as you were, but we got around, and I grew up.
And we didn't start wealthy. My dad was an orphan, and he joined the military at 15. He was in the Navy, and he fought through 2 fucking world wars. Wow. So it wasn't like he didn't earn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I didn't earn it.
How many siblings did you have?
There were 5 of us from my mother, but I'm the 13th from my father.
Yeah, you told me this. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, man. That's some good seed magic there.
Yeah, he was a busy fucking man. He had a funny expression. He said, "Any port in a storm." And I don't know how many fucking brothers and sisters I got running around here in China because he was over here for a few years.
Yeah, 13 is only the official story, right? Yeah, nice.
Anyway, fun stuff. But he was always a good guy and extremely generous. And he started from absolute hardship, but he built himself up. You know what I mean? And I always appreciated it. He told me that there were 3 generations in your fortune. He said the first will fight military affairs, the second should do business affairs, and then the 3rd generation can enjoy literary and artistic affairs.
Yeah, spiritual things, right?
Have you heard this before? Yeah. And then it has to reboot, you know?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So it's cyclical. But yeah, I've always found that, like, the other folks that you interact with and stuff, but that's why Jesus's whole story begins with he started from humble beginnings. That's why they call him Jesus of Nazareth, right? He was a farm boy essentially, and went into the temples, and he had no knowledge of scripture, but he was able to express scripture naturally, and this is why we call it gnosis, right? Like the intrinsic internal understanding of all that all of us carry in some way.
Yeah. Oh, and the world hates that. The world
hates They do. Look at how they vilify and they attack Jack just because he can't fucking remember which scripture said what. And I don't know that much about Jack, but I honestly think that he tries to start at least from a point of sincerity. And I can support and understand that. I think he does. I might be wrong.
I hear you, but initially I hated. Hate is a big word, but I didn't like Jack because of his empty words, And
I did too. I mocked him a lot. I fucked with him when I first went over there.
Yeah, and still
because a lot of it is looping. And people point this out. You're just looping. And it's like, maybe he's trying to generate energy to go upward.
I think it's very easy to persiflage, to make a persiflage of Jack. It's like I can't do it because my English is not that well. But I would be able to do it in Dutch easily.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, and it's not worth our time to ever vilify. Like Frank Sinatra said, you know who Frank Sinatra is, do you or not? He's a singer.
Of course I do. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he said that anytime you either praise or vilify someone, you're shining their fucking shoes. And when you name drop people, that doesn't help your case. Do your own thing. Be your own man. And I think that's important somehow. Like the Jerry Springer effect, as I call it, is the lowest common denominator. Let's fight among each other and say Jack did this, or Flow State did that, or Paulie Unslaved did this or that or the other thing, right? Or Illumitami did this. That's the very lowest level of ideation. But when we raise it up a bit, we can talk about events and say, hey, this thing happened or that thing happened.
We can talk about their behavior, right, without naming the names. we can talk.
Right. I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
then
I
the highest level are the ideas, the ideals, and that's what I want to drive towards.
But you can't talk about the ideas with Jack, right? You can talk about Jack and his ideas, but you can't talk about Jack's ideas with Jack, because no, it's gonna fail there. He's gonna evade the answer. He's gonna step away from a direct answer.
Do you think there's any fucking jelly in his donut? Do you think that I mean, this
I'm,
idea he go ahead.
I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
He has this logo, this motto that says "Live without fear." Dude, when you listen to the man speak, there's this, not always, but very often, there's this tremble in his voice, and that is insecurity and fear. But I must give it to the man. He speaks through it, right? He doesn't mind that his voice trembles. So he will still keep on speaking what he's thinking or what comes up in his mind. But I still hear I cannot reproduce it, but I still hear this void in his voice. Like and it's not always, but it's there very often. And
No, yeah, I've noticed it as well.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like I thought I brought forward some pretty poignant ideas in a certain situation or in various situations because I've been paying attention to him for I don't know going on like 2 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like there has been quite a few situations where I thought, wow, you could have really built off of that and driven it forward as a more powerful message. But there's this underlying like leftist mentality. And I don't mean to describe it that way, but in somehow it's there. It's like very apparent. And now originally the leftists, that party at some point was the Ku Klux Klan, right? The Democratic Party is the origin of like enslavement of the Negro race and the driving out of the Indian race. But then they shifted during, I think it was the Nixon era, and they wanted to position themselves as the saviors of the black people and the ethnic minorities. But now, once again, they've shown their true colors and been like, you know, we really just want to overthrow and destroy everything of naturalness so that we can usher in, and dare I say, like a Frankist mentality. I don't know if you're familiar with the Frankist Jews or not, because I'm a Jew and my name's Frank. I mean, Francis. I mean, that's pretty bad for me. But
Yeah.
do you know something about the Frankists?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't.
So
study,
they're base.
I didn't
Their
study.
basic. Go ahead.
No, I didn't study it, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, their basic ideal is that the more evil we drive into the world, the faster the Messiah will appear, because they don't believe that Christ was the Messiah. And so their basic equation is if we fuck each other's wives and rape our children and murder people in the street, then this will bring about the greatest sin on earth, so that the true Messiah will appear and save us all.
Yeah.
That's their basic equation.
Well, and what it is will that bring so much offerings to Satan, or will that bring so much disgust to Jesus? You know, and it will apply to both sides of the equation, right? So Satanists will say, yeah, that's what we need to do, and even innocent Christians can believe that to be true, right? So it works on both sides. people that don't do evil will believe in that too, because they say, there will be so much evil in this world that Jesus must come and save us. So it works for them too, even though they will not join the evil, they will still support the basic ideology there.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that like as their basic precept, that there has to be a complete destruction and degeneration of the family unit.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the main overriding point? Yeah, so to some extent I oppose that, like, and it's like they try to separate the messenger from the message, and I don't think this can be entirely done, right? Like, if you take Christ's image, his message and who he is are essentially one. And if you try to just, and at the same time, I feel like, again, it's a double-edged sword. I feel like the message can somehow be superior to the man, and don't kill the messenger, as they say, right? But then at the same time, you have to distinguish and be like, well, is this individual bringing forward this message for a greater good, or are they doing it to empower themselves somehow? So it's a tough question, and I wouldn't disparage him at all. I think that he works hard every day, a couple hours a day, and I can appreciate that more than people that do 10 to 12 hours a day, because he's making the kind of money that these guys are making doing 12 hours a day, and he's doing it in 2 hours a day. So, I mean, fuck, that's a far more intelligent equation, right? A lot of these internet tourists, man, these guys who are on terminally online for 12 hours a day doing their transmission, they're wasting people's times, but they're servicing a need at the same time. I mean, that's a tough racket. I mean, I wouldn't want a fucking day job that required 12 hours a day of me being on the entire time. That's fucking crazy.
I mean, but when you're mentally insane, that comes. Yeah. I mean, when it comes easy to you, or almost naturally, culturally would be a better word. But then it's just it's almost like doing nothing. It's almost like
yeah, that's true too. You got to get out and touch grass, though. You got to walk around, man. Your physical body will deteriorate really quickly. Yeah. You see these guys with giant gut. They're not growing any fucking good weed like you are, man. I'd like to get over there and smoke a little of that with you sometime.
Dude, I just showed you my lork. That wasn't even weed. That was lorks. That was larynx.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So my weed hasn't grown large enough to show it yet. It's a bad year, dude. I'm very bad at hatching seeds or germinating seeds.
Yeah, that's what my brother always said. They call them poppin' beans in America. He'd say pop beans, and he had some really good lights, and he did some good work. Like, I came home one year, I think it was 2019, and he had like fucking mason jars. I don't know, the glass jars with a little lid. And he had like 15 or 20 of them on the wall. And he's like, this is year by year since you've been gone, brother. And he's like, what do you want to trade? And I was like, well, let me try a little 2015. Let me try a little 2012. Nice. And I thought it was amazing. But he was like, nah, he did a really, really good job. And he only did 2 or 3 plants per year.
Yeah, but he must be in California then, right? Because you can grow actual trees. Yeah.
Right. All right. Yeah, the U.S. has pretty much opened that up, like, across the board. Like, it's no big deal anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, back in the day, there was Jack Harrer, right?
That's the man, 420 Jack Harrer. I could tell you that, like, I put magic into that. That's a part of me too.
And
I wished upon that, like, nearly every day. I thought, wow, what a fucking place it'd be if I could go home and it was this way. What if I could go home? Because under the oppression here, where it's like so fucking serious. And I'm like, good God, can't I just sit back and smoke a spliff? You know what I mean? And I thought, what if I could go home and it was like this, that, or the other thing? And then it just suddenly happened. Like it all opened up exactly the way I thought it should be.
Hey, but the interesting thing is that cannabis actually is from China originally, right? It is from
yeah. They and the city where they found it, like the megalithic structures. I visited them. They're not that far from me, man. I drove out there in my car, and I visited those old tombs where they found the fucking emperor surrounded by cannabis and stuff. Yeah, they've got it all preserved. It's like archaeological. It's there, man. And it grows native everywhere here. They can't stop it. They're like, oh yeah, but it just pops up. And like if you wish upon a star, and in the autumn time, you'll find some flowers. You just gotta look for it. Yeah, you gotta know what you're doing. It's there. Creek Mary says she killed a couple of males, a couple of jackharer plants.
You will never be maybe someday you will be forgiven, Creek Mary, but for now, no, you're guilty.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I went down to southern China, like the Yunnan region, and my wife she hates weed. I don't know why, but she's like hardcore against it because it's it's just so illegal here. Like if you get caught with it, you go to jail or whatever. And if it's over like a certain amount, like they have the death sentence for drugs here.
Oh.
And yeah, hardcore. They've even put foreigners to death. Like a Canadian came over with I don't know, like a pouch of fucking something. And
I know it's hard. They're hard on it in Thailand when they even find like a tree. When they find
I wouldn't even go to Thailand.
You don't even carry weed on you. You don't have a seed on you or a leaf, but they can trace a trace on it on your skin or on your clothes. You're going to jail for a couple of years because you've been around people that probably have used it. So
right. Yeah, even here now they tried that shit. Like there was a German guy that was a Volkswagen like CFO or something, and he came back and he had been in Thailand or somewhere in the southern Asia, and he tested positive for cannabinoids, and they kicked him out of the country, and they made a big deal of it. But I have colleagues all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I went down to Thailand for the summer. I enjoyed this or I enjoyed that. And the first thing I always think is one of two things. Number one, you're going into a place where they could give you the death sentence for smoking weed. So fuck you.
Weed. Just tracing weed on you with a fucking test. You
might
never have touched weed or smoked it, but been around people that do use it. And there's some traces on your clothes.
Yeah. So that type of natural opposition, that type of opposition to natural freedom, if you go there, I disrespect you immediately. Number two, the biggest thing going over there is for child sex slavery and ladyboys. So it's like you got 3 strikes against you. If you go to Thailand and you come back and you're all proud, yeah, I went to Thailand. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't stand next to me. Yeah, get away from me. Behind me, Satan. Fuck off. That's just my opinion. I mean,
yeah, I guess so.
It's like if someone showed up and they're like, hey, I just went to a clan meeting and we lynched a nigger. I'd be like, bro, you're talking to
At least you didn't go to Thailand.
You're talking to the wrong fucking guy, right? I went down to hell and Satan, ass fucked me with his cock and I sucked his dick.
How does that work? What the fuck?
It seems really bad to me, but I actually like Thai people and I like Southern Asians. I met a Filipino guy the other day and he's really sweet, like super sweet, like too sweet, like super effeminate. And I was like, I met him and I'm like, man, you just have the happiest face I've ever met. You know, you like get this happy face. He's a happy face guy. And my old Chinese friend, his mother ran a restaurant, and she always said that those are called happy face people. And if you meet one of them, they're like have you ever seen the big fat Buddha?
That's where the word gay comes from. These gay people, they're always gay.
Yeah, he's extremely gay. He's a gay-faced guy. Yeah. But have you seen the fat Buddha where they have like the big bellied Buddha in the Chinese restaurants? Yeah. She said that's what he is. She said that's called a happy face Buddha. And she said, be very careful. Those people are dangerous.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know this guy from online, right? Sean. I think he's Korean or half Korean. And he's crazy, just like you and me, right? I mean, he's not as successful as you. But he's in the same business that I was. So he's a steward on a ship. And I can imagine him being the steward. Because if you're welcomed by him on the ship, you're going to have a good day. When he smiles at you, you know, you're going to have a good day after that. And there's nothing gay about him, but he's just so happy. If he smiles at you, it's like, what? You're just going to have a good day, you know, after that. Don't you know Sean, random fan? You might have heard of him. He also frequents the Illumitomy.
Okay.
And so And so what he did.
Go ahead.
Let me show you. He makes these buttons, right?
Okay, yeah, that's nice.
YouTube channels.
Paul Revere, Boston Lager, yeah.
Boston Ray, and this is random fan himself. This used to be his.
Yeah, I like that. That's very nice.
So he sent them to me, right? And I also got my own channel here, the Void, right? Void himself.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
He even sent me a fucking Zetetic Princess button. I'm not very happy with that one, but well, you know, he's busy. He makes these things, and
yeah, I'm marginally familiar with Zetetic Warrior or Princess, as you call them, but not overly familiarized. Again, because Nachiketa, he's so hard for me to swallow. Like somehow Nachiketa, and if he hears this, I don't know if he ever watches my channel. I don't think he ever would, right? He's bigger than me. But you have to let go of your pain, brother. You have to let go of that sadness in your voice. Because I can't listen to it. I mean, like, it's just so hard. I mean, he's pushing that angle, right? The flat earth angle, which is fine. That's fine. And do you know Ironwork 90,000?
92,000. Yeah.
Yeah, 92,000. You know Ironworks?
Yeah, Vlad.
Yeah, he's another flat earther, but he's fantastic. I love him. You know, I could sit in Ironworks all day long, no problem, right?
It's Ironwork, right? Ironworks is
Ironwork 92,000. Yeah, let's put it in the chat. Go ahead. But that's just a huge difference.
I do like Vlad.
Vlad, yeah.
It's a very cool name for a Haitian, though. You know, he explained to me why it was called Vlad, because his father was a boxer, and his father's idol was this Russian boxer, and he was called Vladimir.
Okay.
And so that's why he named his son Vlad.
Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, this is the original devil, right? The only reason I mention it is because there's Eric Dubé, there's Nachiketa, and there's Ironwork. And in my opinion, like Eric Dubé, you're trying to sell me something, brother. You got a book, you got this, that, you got the other thing. But at the same time, Eric Dubé, his spirituality is a little bit poisonous, honestly, just my honest opinion. And I'm just giving Frank Monday reacts, right? And then with Nachiketa, it's like the sadness is just too fucking deep, man. I don't need sadness. I didn't grow up in sadness. I don't need to feel that kind of heavy depression. And I don't want to tune into a YouTube channel and feel it. And it's like Ironwork, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He doesn't care. He's a submarine pilot, you know? He's just like, I could see that it's flat. Fuck, that's all there is. Let's party, you know? And so I think they're very different perspectives. And I prefer, honestly, the layman's view. The guy at the ground level that's trying to work his way up. I've always been that way. I've always been a beginner. I've always been a neophyte. And it's like, for me, it's about exploration and fellowship. And I think those are the people I resonate with. And maybe that's why. Go ahead.
And I don't want to oppose that, but the other day I saw Vlad making a comment on The World Today, right? And he's applauding anti-white racism. So he's been hurt by racism, apparently, because he's applauding it like it's a good thing that this now.
Really?
Yeah, and
with the Africans.
Well, whatever, dude. He applauds it all. He likes it. And like Vlad, and I talked to him about this. I think it was on PJ Cruikshank. I don't know if you know his channel, but it was on his channel, and we talked about this for a while. I said, Vlad, I like you, and I like your channel, and I don't oppose racism, but I don't applaud it, but you actually like it. You like the anti-white racism, and you think this is a good thing. And so I asked him, like, what do you think about what's going on in South Africa? He said, well, I think it's a good thing. Finally, you people get to experience what I experienced. I said, Vlad, that sounds very revengeful. And
he's and it's horseshit too, because he's never experienced that. The white man has never tried to perpetrate extermination against the black man in the United States in my lifetime, or my father's lifetime, or since the 1900s. Over 100 years, we have been accommodating them.
He equates apartheid to racism. And that's horseshit. I lived in South Africa. Okay, I actually lived there for a year as a young child, as a teenager, and I had the same question. Like, I was. Yeah,
no, I grew up in the hood where they were saying "get whitey" all the time. Yeah, they've been drumming on this hammer for a long time, right? And in the U.S., the black man has lived among the white man for 100 years with absolute equality. There hasn't been a single fucking white man born in my generation, very few, that have tried to perpetrate any type of evil against them. No,
because of their skin, not because.
Not only have we not tried to perpetrate anything against them, we have over accommodated and bent over backwards, trying to make their lives easier and providing and giving additional incentive. Yeah, that's horseshit. Vlad has never experienced any type of fucking racism.
No,
he gets sucked my dick.
I think
as an American.
I think he did.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit.
His experience is his own, and I will.
There's no place in America where that takes place. The white man hasn't done it for 100 years.
Might have experienced it in the army, in the Navy.
Nah, not much. Not much. Not the kind I've experienced here in China.
Right? Yeah, I can.
Every day, hearing Lao Wai 100 times a day, people spitting in your direction. Yeah, no, he doesn't know. He doesn't know about ostracization and racism. These motherfuckers, I could tell you from fucking day one.
He takes on to it, and he says, like,
I'm more of a Negro than any Negro on earth. You come into China as a white man and think that you got some kind of special privilege. Right. Ain't gonna happen.
Comparison, though, Frank. I think that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like if I were a black man walking through the hood in America anytime for the last 100 years, and I heard Negro or motherfucking Negro and people spitting like constantly as you walk through and jump on buses and shit like that, that type of trauma, they don't experience that. I grew up in the hood, Compton, right next to Compton, and I was here. I've been here for 25, going on 30 years now, and it's totally fucking different.
Yeah.
I've never looked at a black person and said Negro and spit at them, but how many times have I seen that in my direction?
Right.
Right? Yeah, it's totally different. But black can say whatever the fuck he wants because that's the general zeitgeist, right? Oh, we black, we frigid. Oh, motherfucker said Negro, nigga this, nigga that, nigga please.
Calling each other,
nigga.
we call each
about
other nigga, and so thereby we demystify the whole world of the N-word. But if you use the N-word against me, I'm gonna call you a racist.
Here's what's interesting to me. Here's what's interesting to me, and let me articulate this just briefly. Why is the word nigger so powerful? Right? We say it with a hard R, Hitler, right? It seems interesting to me. There's not a single disparaging remark you can say against a white man. You can call me cracker, you can call me white bread, you can call me anything you fucking want. I don't care. Why does water roll off my back? Why does that shit roll off my back like water off a duck?
Because
right?
they internalize it, right? Because they actually So when one of their mates called them nigga, it's okay. But when I say
it's
nigga,
fine and dandy. That's right.
And what was the whole idea of calling each other nigger? To dispower the word, right? So
right.
To disempower the whole word of nigger, of somebody calling you a nigger, is calling everybody a nigger, right? But it worked on the opposite, because if I say nigger now, I can't say it because I'm white or I sound white. So it didn't work. It worked the other way around. It's like back in the day.
It's strange to me though. Like I want to think about it, like because supposedly God spoke the world into being, and so we have Nun, Yud, Gimel, Yud, Resh. So there's something encoded in the Hebrew. Maybe it means Golem. Maybe it means NPC. There must be something there that's more powerful than just the English language. Like, because originally it just comes from the Spanish negro, right? Negro. And then we have the English derivative from Latin, which is niggardly, which means to be cheap and stingy. So it's because like the invocation of it makes them more poor, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. But there's something fascinating about it. It's like nigga this, nigga that. It doesn't matter. It's just a sound. In Chinese people say this all the time. Nega, 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 right? It means that which is, right? The Niger River, 007 says it's because of the Niger River in Egypt.
No.
But it doesn't in ancient Egyptian.
No, that place was denominated as Niger because it was black. Because it was dark. That's why it's called Niger.
But in ancient Egyptian, doesn't chem mean black?
Yeah.
Chemical, or the people of Chem?
Well, I'm not very familiar with it, but I do know that Kemet means farmer, right? Which is very close to chemistry, right? Because that's what they do. You know, they use chemistry. They are alchemists, per definition.
Well, there you go. But here's the thing that I've always pondered on. It's like for example, in one generation, they train you to say a certain thing. 1980s, I grew up in 1980s, inner city LA, and every single message had that word in it, reiterated hundreds of thousands of times on the radio, in this, that, or the other thing, right? And so they programmed it into people like me. That's just a little kid. And here I am here and nigger this, nigger that all day long from their culture, right? And then in the very next generation, everything you were programmed to believe to be true has to be upended, right? You were taught that a mom and a dad raised kids and that abortion was bad and this, that, or the other thing. And now suddenly all of that is reversed. And if you believe that, you're evil. Yep. And they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. For the next generation, everything they're programming them to believe, they will teach them to believe is evil, so that the next generation of children will hate their parents. And I think this is the essential equation. It's cyclical. Yeah. The comptrollers, the governors, they know what they're doing. Hey, we teach this one generation.
I don't think that they know what they're doing, but the one who's telling them what to do knows what he is doing. I mean, it's inhumane, right? And so the one in charge, I think it's actually one. I think it's the devil himself. Yeah. And his children, you know, his offspring, those are the
good chance of it. Yeah. Vlad, the original impaler. Oh. Well, somehow, and if that's a truth, if it's Swissy or whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
Then it's,
dude. Talk about Swissy, and talking about the children of the devil. I mean, do you know what Switzerland is called? In another way, Helvetia. There's this famous font that's called Helvetica, right? What that means is the way to hell. Helvetia. That is the location of Switzerland. That is Helvetia, the way to hell. And it also says in, well, there you are in the Hell Hotel.
You notice that. God, you're observant. Yeah.
Hey, but no, but it also says in the Bible that the devil lives in Geneva, right? It says so in the Bible. Geneva is still in Switzerland. Okay. Geneva also holds one of the key points in CERN. I think this whole CERN thing is actually the gate to heaven, or to hell.
Well, that's a fact too. Like, to some extent, we are all, like, originally when we started the transmission and I began to spoke to you, I talked of the smoked god of the underworld. In Chinese, they call him Mo Wang, or the god of death. And I've seen him, and he like laughs at me each night when I go to sleep, and I think, memento mori, I will face you soon, oh great devil. And he shows me many things as I sleep, and I awake. And most people, they ignore their dreams. You know, they think, it's just a fucking dream, you know, or they don't even dream at all, or they come out of complete oblivion. But I don't, man. I enter into Dreamland with near complete awareness, and then I meander through. Like, I've delineated the pathways that I follow as I go through Dreamland, but I always wake up like with this golden ticket, and he's like, you got one more chance to make it right and to escape. And yeah, it's gnarly, man. It's gnarly. And then you feel the oppression as you get closer and back to the gateway again, and you cross the threshold into the abodes of night. And then you sleep there. And most people, as I said, you know, they're fucking NPC'd out. They're unaware. And here's the big question I have to bring forward, Voy, is like, how many of these people along our path are actually people or beings or
Uh,
you know what I'm saying? Because like a guy like you shows up, and I can see at face value that you are a genuine. You're a thing. You're a human being.
Thank you.
But fuck, I live in a city of 25 million people, and how many other people did I really encounter today? You know what I mean?
That many people don't even live in my country. Shit, man.
I walk outside this door. There's 25 fucking million fucking people roaming around. But how many of them are people? That's the question I need to ask.
I mean, they all look the same, don't they?
Well, they're all riding around on bikes, and they're doing that.
That's very similar to the Netherlands, right? Everybody rides around on bikes.
It's funny because I hadn't heard until like it's been a while since I've heard, like, because I've been out in the country now with this new job at the academy, so it's kind of on the outskirts of the city. So I haven't heard the old "you stupid foreigner" in a long time. But one of the gals that works at my school, like I think she's got a little bit of a thing for me, and I was going down the stairwell as she was coming up, and she's got some nice arms and legs, but she got a flat ass. It's like a 2x4, right? It's plywood. But I told her, I said, "Why are you leaving the lunch?"
Good arms and good legs. I mean, just look beyond. Just look beyond.
Right. But yeah, I said, "Why are you?" I like to play with her because she's cute. She's got a cute face too, very expressive. And I said, "Why are you leaving the lunchroom earlier?" And she said, "Do I need to explain that to you, you stupid foreigner?" And in Chinese, it's you know, it's a good-looking, cute girl saying it to you, and she's educated. You know, you have to have a master's degree to be in our department, but to hear her say that like so overtly, I was like, motherfucker, right? And when I was getting my coffee today, another person said that to me when I was standing in line. A different gal, she came in behind me in line. I was waiting for the coffee. There were 3 people queued up in front of me. And I said, she's like, "Oh, there's too many people. I'm going to turn away." I said, "No, stay here. You know, why don't you stay here and get a coffee?" And she said, "Fuck you, foreigner." But she said it in Chinese in a playful way because they all know I speak Chinese very well, you know. But at the same time, you know, like in Chinese, it doesn't sound so bad. Like let me express it to you in Chinese. Right? Sha means stupid, and Lao Wai means foreigner. And it's like, so in the Chinese language, it's like once you've been a little bit patriated with the people, like it's not a big deal. But it's like if I came in and say there were a bunch of people standing in line, and some black dude's at the back of the line, and he's like, "Oh, no, stick around. We can get a coffee. We can chat." And she's like, "Fuck you, nigger," right? Would that imagine that? Is that what Vlad experienced all the time, right? "Fuck you, nigger," right? Is that what he heard every day? Even
I don't think he did.
I don't think so. No. Yeah, fuck you, nigger.
But it's
right.
But it's,
is that what you hear every day? For any black people, or if Vlad watches the show, is that the kind of thing you hear when you're standing in the coffee line and they turn around, they see you? Do they say "fuck you, nigger"? Is that what you hear when you're coming down the hall, going to the cafeteria, and you say, "Hey, why are you leaving?" And they say, "Hey, how should I explain that to you, nigger?" Right? "Fuck you, nigger." No, that's not what they've ever heard. Maybe in the 1950s. Maybe in the 1950s. And it would be once in 100 days, or once a year.
Only in Tennessee and only in South Carolina and Texas, And
Tennessee motherfucker gonna tell you what's up. Be like, "Nigga, stay in your lane."
This white country.
Yeah, Tennessee still know what's up. I appreciate that you understand that, boy. Because Tennesseans gonna tell you. They're gonna tell you, "Nigga, you better stay in your motherfucking lane. You better stay in Memphis." with Oh, who was the trumpet player in Memphis? Yeah, it was a good looking nigga right there. And I'm not being racist because I've experienced from the ground level. I've never understood race. A little black kid came over with a watermelon and a fried chicken leg and had to tell me that I was white. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he had to show up in my yard and be like, "Hey, you white." And I'm like, "Well, fuck, give me a bite of that watermelon, brother. What's up?" That shit ain't cute.
Well,
But it's totally. Do you understand what I'm saying, Voy? I mean,
when I skipped school in South Africa, I stayed down by the river with these Bantus. They weren't niggas. They were Bantu. Okay, and Bantu is just the Zulu word for human, right? For man.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but I ate millie porridge with these people, right? Because I was just skipping school and I didn't know where to go. I couldn't go home because they would know I would skip school. So I just went down to the river. And down by the river, there were these Bantus. And they looked at me like, "Oh, you're skipping school, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm skipping school. Do you want some porridge?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like some porridge." And I just ate some porridge with them, and just hanging out down by the river. There wasn't any race involved, right? There was just some guys hanging out with this other guy, sharing their meal. But it was, it was in the time of apartheid. But we didn't care too much about it, to be honest. I didn't. Although
Yeah.
I think, if you look at the country now, South Africa, it's beyond apartheid, and it's not in a better place. I think a lot of the black people there are crying out for the white man to return, right? And the white man actually wants to leave the country. I mean, what's been in the news for the last 2-3 days? The white farmer, the witte boer, is coming back from South Africa, not to the Netherlands, but they're returning to America.
Well, that's the thing too. Like
if they don't escape, they're gonna be offed. There's two white farms being killed daily since 2002. Right, that's a lot of farms. And it's just communism. It's just communism because communism wants to off farmers. They hate farmers per definition because farmers feed the people, and communism doesn't like people. Communism,
right. You take the means of production out of the hands of the people.
Yeah.
That's something they did here, and just to reflect a bit on Beijing culture, like here in China. When I first came over here, my wife's grandmother, which we call Lao Tai Tai, she was a part of the southern region of farmers. And during the Cultural Revolution, everyone was destroyed and uprended. Like you either gave up your farm willingly or they put you to the axe.
Yeah.
And so they were all relocated into camps, and she worked through that. And after the great chairman, created the huge famine where everyone was starving to death and people were literally eating shoe leather.
Yeah.
There was an old Chinese guy that I talked to. He's dead now, but he was in his 90s when I came here 25 years ago. And he told me that they would drink mud soup and they would eat rats or any meat that was available. And he lived through it. And he said, think about the people who are here now and they survived all of that. He said, think about their mentality and what they've gone through. They've eaten their fucking neighbors. They've seen 50% of the population decimated, murdered in the street, and dying of starvation. How did they survive?
Yeah, that's
And
a
he
good
said,
question, right?
yeah, you don't think cannibalism's a real thing? They ate human flesh. Someone drops, cut them up and eat them. Motherfucker.
Finally, some
That's,
meat. Instead
that's
of
harsh shit.
some weeds that we have to chew on. Finally some meat, even if it's our enemy. It's meat. It's meat.
The dogs and cats did not last long. The rats were next. Here's what my wife's mother told me. She said each month they were issued a certain amount of oil and meat, and they would take the little piece of meat. I think they were given an ounce of oil, cooking oil. They were given 1 ounce of cooking oil, and they were given a certain slice of meat. Right, whatever meat that was, and they would take the meat back to the apartment, and they would set it in the middle of the table and turn off all the lights.
And just look at it. Just look.
No. They'd turn off all the lights, and they would get ready with the the big basins, and then they would wait and wait and wait, and then they would turn the light back on, and then throw the basins down, because all the roaches and other vectors would be out trying to eat the meat, and then they would couple them all, and then they would eat those motherfuckers. Yeah. When I came over, man, there were roaches.
You will
roaches everywhere.
Right?
Yeah, she said roaches and mosquitoes can be eaten, and they're delicious. They'd set on a piece of meat so they could attract roaches, and fucking rats and whatever else would come out.
Rodents and roaches, right? Shit, man.
You just take a little piece of meat and set it in the middle of the floor, turn off all the lights, and wait till all the fucking protein comes out, baby. Imagine that. And that's real fucking life, man. That's real fucking life.
I praise my supermarket. And the girls behind the counter, because they look good.
You don't even need a supermarket, man. Just a little piece of protein on the floor. You get all kinds of shit.
I like my supermarkets. I just rather do the supermarket thing than the roaches and rodents.
Well, they compare them to shrimp. Like shrimp is the roach of the ocean.
Yeah, true.
In their mind, But that's gnarly. I mean, come on, think about that. That's gnarly. And so,
even when you don't fry them, it's crunchy. So
yeah. Here's the upshot of that. Those are the people ruling this society right now. Yeah. Those are the people in power. Those are the ones making the decisions and calling the shots. Yeah. They don't want you to remember it, but we must remember. We must remember. And that's why I say that, like, people who come from a mentality of extreme destitution and hardship, like the Asians, the bananas, you throw out a fucking banana, that's a very difficult thing for them to accept. They can't build a road that bleeds water. Like the Romans, they could build a road that doesn't get inundated with water and lasts 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But over here, they throw up buildings overnight and they fall apart. They throw up roads overnight and they fall apart. You have to use structure and understanding.
Yeah.
Creek Mary says, "Oh dear." Yeah, we went too far into the darkness. Let's take it back into the light.
Well, talk about roads that don't flood. These Dutch, wow, dude, that's like such an NPC avatar that you have there. I can't even.
How do I change it? I don't even know how to fucking change it on this thing.
I don't care, dude. Just change it. But hey, we the Dutch people actually came up with this very absorbing asphalt. Concrete.
Okay.
It's very absorbing asphalt concrete. Ja, zo wel. Ja. Zeer absorberend asfaltbeton. And so the Dutch created this asphalt that will just absorb all the water and be able to how do you say this transfer
Disperse.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
disperse. Well, not disperse it, but transperse it. Um, Sub. How do you call this? Beneath.
Subterranean.
Yeah, well, beneath the surface, right? So it trickles instantly through the surface, and then it trickles downwards, and then it gets diverted. So when there's rain, when it's raining in the Netherlands and you drive on most roads, there will be no rain on the road because it will be diverted. And that's a typical Dutch technique. But the thing is, when it freezes, these roads will be very vulnerable to harm, or to how do you call this? They will be deconstructed because the water freezes and it expands, and so therefore there will be many road fixes to be made after a freezing period. But then again, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, that's a good deal. And
I mean, the Dutch people, we come up with so many solutions, dude. It's crazy. I mean, we're worse than Germans almost.
yeah, Cage Reality is here. Good to see you, amigo. I hope you're doing well. Do you know Cage?
I'm so bored with Cage. He's actually a likable person, but he just drinks too much and then he gets online. I mean, nothing wrong with drinking and get online, but if you can't even compose your words and you're just very reactive like Cage is, there's something wrong. And besides that, he's very young.
Is he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that much about him. He's come on a couple of times, and he brought forward the if I remember correctly, he brought forward the Japanese tea ceremony, and he had a Negro folk that was living in, I believe, Korea, that was doing the tea ceremony.
Oh,
But
yeah.
do you remember that one?
Yeah, I think it's NPC the game. Oh no. He lives in Vietnam. No, sorry.
Well, the main point is that it wasn't interactive enough. Like we have to bounce ideas back and forth across each other, right? Like I think there has to be a certain amount of relinquishment of the ego and in driving the message forward rather than just our own ideas. Like me, for example, here I am what I am, right? And this adds some visual element for me being here. And in the Streamlabs, like I don't have my icon picture, I don't have the music, I don't have the things behind the scenes. And to some extent, I think that's what people are looking for. They're just looking for a genuine expression rather than trying to pull something arbitrary. And I think if we offer that, like our genuine expression, like right now, what are we doing? And I don't mean that you need to turn your camera on. I'm just saying, as an example, right? Like, who are we? Where are we? How are we interacting with the community? And how do we drive the message forward? And how do we do that? How do we do that thing? But yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. He says
we're just doing it. I mean, there's no question how it should be done. It's kind of a new form of expression, right? This
It
whole,
is. It really is. Yeah.
and I think that's why people enjoy it and are savoring it in the way that people do. I'm an artist, right? I like expression. Well, what defines an artist? Is it the visual thing, or is it the podium thing? It's something between that, right? And that's why this is such an interesting medium of expression. Because you're an artist too, right? I mean, you're a teacher. Every teacher is an artist. You can't just call yourself, well, I'm a teacher. No, you're an artist. But yeah, you're just a failed artist as a teacher. That's it used to be my definition, but I mean, you're an artist. Every teacher is an artist, but yeah, on a different level.
Yeah, at the same time, if I could like show you some pictures and stuff, like I I really like endeavored to be an artist when I was younger. Like I grew my hair out all the way down my back and I would braid it every day. Like I grew a fucking braid that was thick and long, and I had the long hair and I grew out my beard a little bit, you know, and stuff like that. And I was doing kung fu, and I thought it was super serious, you know. And I still do art to this day, but I always have respected the artists more than anything else. One of the things that transformed my being, like the way I am now, with like clean shaven, short haircut, all of this, is that the highest level Chinese guy I ever met in the U.S. was Master Ni Huaqing of Yosan University in Santa Monica, California. And I thought I was fucking like kung fu perfection, 19 years old. And I showed up at one of his, not one, but multiple of his public talks. And I said I had read all of his books and I memorized the motherfuckers. I knew them word for word. And I'm like, Master Ni, I asked him all these different questions. And I was like, what about this? What about that? And he basically treated me like, fuck you, you're valueless, you know. You're never going to amount to anything. And he totally fucking took the jelly out of my donut. But let me finish the story. I'm from California, but I had followed him. I went to so many of his public talks that I went to his public talks in New York, San Francisco, and there was this one in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. I went out to see him. I flew on planes, I drove cars, and I thought this guy was the epitome of fucking Chinese magical science, right? And I wanted to study Chinese medicine. And so I go out there and I'm like, Master Ni, and I thought I would get noticed. And I asked them his question, and I'm not going to tell you the question or his response, but he snubbed me immediately. Like he cut me off and he gave me this stupid fucking answer. And I thought, man, what a motherfucker.
What a letdown, right?
What a letdown. Never meet the master. Never meet your master, right? But here's the thing. Let me tell you the upshot. Let me finish the story. This beautiful, buxom, brown-haired, brown-eyed girl stepped forward and she asked this silly, stupid question. And he fired off like the fucking 4th of July, like a fireworks show. And he responded to her with great deference and like a fusion of energy. And everybody was cheering, you know, and she's wandering around like a princess. And I thought, what the fuck is going on? And later on, like one of the guys that was close to him and knew a lot of shit, he took me aside. And I was like, what the fuck was that all about? You know, like why I work so hard doing kung fu every day, you know, rah, rah, rah. And I'm reading his scriptures and memorizing them. And I said, why did she
have the country to get there? Even?
Yeah, exactly. And multiple times. And I said, why did she evoke such a response? And he said, oh, her family has a lot of money.
So it wasn't even the boobies or the booty. It was just the family
And the
ties.
booty too, maybe. This guy's in his 90s. And I was like, motherfucker. I said, my family has money, but I was cut off from my family's money already at that point. I didn't have any money. I was fucking vagabond.
I
But I
mean,
knew,
that,
that I had a family with money. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
knew that. Knew that. I mean, these people,
Yeah.
they know everything because
It,
it's not,
it
it's
was,
not just them. It's a fucking team behind them, and that's why the
yeah,
guy. That's why the guy behind that you talk to behind the scenes. That's why he told you that because
yeah. He knew what was up.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's part of the
What
team.
a letdown. What a fucking heart destroying experience. You know what I mean?
When you have
Like this,
when you have expectations, what
right?
what's that?
Right.
There's going to be frustrations or the how do you call
Well,
it?
he's supposed to be the big guru. He's supposed to answer truth, He's supposed to be Jack Talcott. And then suddenly you show up and he's like, the fuck do you matter? Fuck you. What do you matter? You're not bringing the big donos. And then suddenly this little girl that hasn't done anything ever, you know?
But she
And it's
looks
like, oh, yeah, she's
good
super
and
and fucking important.
come on, dude.
It shows you how fucking shallow all of it is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because he was like the pinnacle, the fucking height. I read his book when I was a teenager. I found them in the fucking bookstore. And I rooted this shit out. I wasn't brought there, She didn't fucking find this
Isn't
stuff
that
and practice it.
isn't it actually the best thing to be? I mean, isn't it the best teaching to be let down by a teacher? Like, what the fuck? I don't even want to answer your question. You're gonna have to look this out for yourself.
Somehow,
somehow
yeah.
that is the best. That is the best response that you can get.
I guess, would I, and here's the big question. Would I do any different if I was in the same position? I think I would.
Right?
I think that's the fucking difference.
I
I
think
think
so.
if
I think too. I think too. If you would be in that position, you would react differently. Yeah.
I think I would. If I was on the golden seat and there was a young man and I could look out into the crowd and see him, he's got his hand up. I'm like, hey, you right there, you motherfucker, what do you got to say? And then he asked me with this sincerity, like almost pissing himself, trying to drive up the best question he could
Come on.
present to you. Yeah, I would give him the time allotted and
Yeah, of course.
and yeah,
That's why the fuck a guru is there in that position. That's
yeah.
why, right? And yeah, so you would live up to that authority.
And you like to think, but at the same time, who knows? Who knows what kind of pain he was feeling? And like, he's got to finance. His kids lived in Bel Air. They're driving BMWs. They have a college, Yosan
They
University.
don't have time for your silly questions.
Right, exactly. Right, we got to get financing. We're selling these at $10,000 a plate. You barely made yourself in here. By the skin of your teeth. Your scholarship. But it's crazy how that works, man. The world is that somehow.
Well,
That's part of
it is, and it isn't. Because let me tell you my story. When I heard of this program called Vipassana, right? You might have heard of it too. And it's like you make a vow of silence for 10 days, and you can just go in this place, and because the men that initiated that program just wanted that. People need to have a place to rest, and if they make this vow of silence, he will provide it for them, right? So that was his only goal, and he didn't want any money. Of course, he needed money to provide the venue, right? But it was all free. It was all voluntarily, and I did that. And so there's also people that actually do the thing that you expect them to do, right? It's not only, they don't need to be the guru, they just want to provide the space for one to meditate. That also happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, like the elder brother, the guy who had actually organized it all in Atlanta, Georgia, he took me aside and he said, now that you've seen that, see a reality that can be created on your own. And he said, I brought Master Ni here. And all of this I organized. And he said, I noticed your question and I see your sincerity. And so he was the real guru.
Right.
And he's just some white dude, hanging out. And he had the house. He organized the venue. And I ended up spending time with him, and I saw his garden and his house, and he's like, this is the reality. He's like, fuck all that. This guy's groping for money. And I'm like, but he's the leader of our entire tribe. He's like, that doesn't fucking matter. He's like, you do you. You do you. And fuck all that other stuff. And
you got lucky, dude. You got lucky there, Frank.
I did. I got really lucky. Yeah. I got a response. I did get a genuine response, but it wasn't from the master. It was from one of his students.
Well, it wasn't from the master that you expected, but you
get
it from the actual organizer, right?
Which was good magic. And it's funny because
mastery in itself. I mean, organizing stuff is not easy, dude.
Especially,
I mean, to women it comes more natural, but especially for a man, if I would make an organization, I would have a woman organize stuff. Okay, maybe not plan stuff, but organize stuff. Women are way better at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing too. Like, I ended up about a year and a half, maybe 2 years later, I ended up living with Master Ni as his disciple and driving him around and doing all of the legwork for his endeavors, like his public talks and stuff, and doing the digital audio tape recordings and then processing them and then like writing the books into the computer. And this is all back in like the 1990s, the mid 90s, right? And I remember he revealed himself a second time. I was in my little car and I was driving him from like Medford, Oregon to LA to go visit his son. Like we had a trip we had to do, and he's like, normally I'd fly, but he's like, since you're here, and you're working as my assistant, you can drive me, like chauffeur. And I'm like, well, let's take your car, because he had a big SUV, and I'm like, it's comfortable, you can sit upright. And I had like this little bitty car, and he's like, no, let's just take your car. And so the whole way down, he has me using my credit card to pay for hotels and meals and gas. And and he's like, everything will be reimbursed when we get there, right? Oh, what a fucking traitor! Traitorous bastard. We hit 3 different cities, and at each city he collected cash, huge envelopes of cash, donations, and door fees. And every time he took the cash, and he's in my car, he's this little old fucking man, right? Leader of this whole thing. He would count the cash dollar by dollar and complain the entire time. He's got like an envelope with like 20, 30 grand in it. And he's like, oh, you got to drive me to the bank, blah, blah, blah. He's counting, and he's like, oh, motherfucker, wasn't even worth it. And I'm like, bro, you just spoke for an hour and a half and you got 20 grand in an envelope.
Dude, you've learned so much, dude.
And it wasn't worth it. Fuck you. And you're not even going to pay for my gas. I was like, oh my God.
Why didn't you just kick him in the face and take the money already, man?
Because I loved him. I thought it was the pinnacle of spiritual expression. But no, it took like, I was so fucking hardcore in my love of the Chinese culture and Taoism that none of that struck me as out of character until it did. It took months and months later for me to finally wake up from that dream and be like, motherfucker, He ain't
But
shit.
well, you
He
needed
ain't
that,
shit.
right? You needed that lesson. I mean, you took it hardcore, dude. You took it. I mean, as hard as you can take it. Yeah.
That was a deep lesson. And
Yeah.
when we finally got to LA and like we're at his son's house in Bel Air, and now he's a big fucking YouTube big shot. Mao Xing Ni. You can look him up, right? He ain't worth much,
I'm
but there
not gonna look him up. You know, he's not.
no
No, no,
yeah.
no.
But I was watching his videos and I made a few comments. But when we got there, his son, his youngest son, he's got a few sons, but whatever. His son, he said, why haven't you paid him? Because I told him I got in there. And I got credit card debt. And like I can't even pay this shit, you know. And my little car's sitting out there. And I'm like, I drove your dad here, and we did all these public talks and stuff. And I'm like, I gotta at least get a couple of $100, you know, to pay for gas and shit. Because they were gonna kick me.
The response of him to his son when he
What's
asked?
Say again.
His son asked the father that you transported, like, why didn't you pay him any money? Like, what was his response?
He said, why should I have to? And he ran off and like hid in another room.
Godverdamme.
Yeah. No, his son was really cool with me, and he's like, here's a couple $100, you know, go fill up your tank, you know, go stay in a hotel or whatever. And if we need you again, we'll call you. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So his son gave me a little money, but yeah, nothing compared to what I had endured. And I'd spent nearly close to 2 years with them up in the cabin. See, here's the thing. He was trying to build a retreat in Oregon for young people with talent to come up and stay. And we worked on all kinds of things, books and public talks and stuff. And it never happened. Nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to fucking do it, man. Like the timing wasn't right.
You were, and you did. And he used it, not to say abuse. You know, he used that.
Right. To some extent. Here's the other thing. When I told him this girl that I was in love with, that I had left to wait for her.
He fucked her in the end, didn't he?
No. But here's what he told me. He said, you need to cut yourself away from that attachment and let go of that. And he said, and when you're done with your work here, you send her to fill your position.
Well, I was close. Close enough.
Yeah. He didn't get her, but he wanted to.
Yeah, of course.
And that was another red flag. I was like, really?
Oh,
really? Are you serious? But see, my love of the culture and the practice was so deep that
the idea. You were in love with the idea.
Right? The idea and the practice.
Yeah, well, but when it came into physical contact, you came in touch with the reality of the whole so-called idea, because the idea was just an idea, and the reality of the whole fucking idea was worth nothing.
Yeah, it all fell apart. But the other thing too, the upshot of it, like since then, the last 20 years of my career, I've generated a lot of cash on public talks.
Right.
And because of my foundation and understanding of how you stand before folks and do this type of thing, and like education, it doesn't matter. Like for me, it's English. For him, it was spirituality. But like, it's like, how much really different am I? You know, and did not I learn
yeah, of course. There's very much comparison in that, right?
Yeah, there was some sort of master method there, but I've never been greedy, and it's because I started from a foundation of not being greedy, and I learned from a father who was generous, and I didn't start from a point of poverty, and he did somehow in his life expression. He started from a place of needing, whereas I didn't. I had enough. I had a tit in my mouth. You know, I had a fucking swimming pool in the backyard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here's again, too, no matter the heights, he had 3 businesses: a university, a book publishing company, and a Chinese medicine company, right? And even at that height of expression, the stinginess, nay I say niggardliness, was still within him.
Yeah. Like, how can you be that way when you create so much money? Like, there's right there's how can you be so greedy and so stingy when you have all that wealth already?
Yeah,
That's
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like, and you could see this tendency in a lot of people, right? The grifters,
I
so to
mean,
speak,
I'm
right?
not a very wealthy person, but I'm very generous.
No, you have, and you have a rich, noble heart. I can see that from the offset, right?
Right?
There's a huge difference. And
Yeah.
now that I'm older and I've experienced all of these things, like I can detect it immediately. Is this person grifting and needy and like a succubus, right? Like a devil, a vampire?
Yeah.
Or are they just genuinely giving from the heart? You show up here, you're giving from the heart, and there's a totally different type of energy. Like Ricardo. I know Ricardo Sunshine.
Yeah, he's very similar, right? He's just his authentic self. Yeah.
Yeah, every time the motherfucker shows up, golden light fills the room. It's just it's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so huge difference, and it took me a long battle to learn that type of thing. Like I've met young guys who will like give me something and be like full of energy and inspiration, and it's a hard thing to find sometimes, and there's 25 million people outside the store right here, just roaming about searching and
I
but
couldn't
it's
imagine, dude, living in a city with 25 million people. I live in a country that's one of the most densely populated countries in the world. And it's even less dense populated than the city that you live in. That's like, there's no ways for me to understand it. I can only imagine living myself in Rotterdam and Amsterdam simultaneously, and everything in between would be the same as Rotterdam and Amsterdam. Dude, that sounds like hell to me. The present hell hotel. That's what it sounds to me.
yeah. Well, and the thing is too, like LA, I grew up in LA, which is 12 million in the county, but the downtown area only has between 3 to 5 million, they say. So I grew up in a big city, and then like to be removed from that, and my mother's family came from Tennessee, and the the county that my mother's mother lived in was around 40,000, but the actual township that she lived in was 200. And so every year I would go from like the large city experience to the countryside experience where there's only like 50 folks around you.
Yeah,
And yeah, and in your entire lifetime, if you can remember 5 people, you're doing good. There really aren't that many people here, no matter how many people they say are here. Yeah, like I remember Master Nee, I remember you because you're here right now. But like maybe my first, second, and third girlfriend, a couple of mates from high school and stuff. But like everyone disappears, man. That's where I think this dead internet theory and like NPCs. I think there's something to it. Somehow
well,
our timeline. Go ahead.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, but then again, the only true experience or valuable experience that I have, in the last 7, 8 years are via the internet, especially via YouTube, because it's practically my only internet experience that I have. YouTube, I just like YouTube because we can stream. We can
Me
be on,
too. Yeah.
it's and besides that, The first time I went online, and I had a channel. Some guy from Belgium just wanted to send me his glasses. I was like, why do you want my address? And he said, well, because I have these glasses and I think they belong to you. I was like, well, that's a very weird interaction. But a couple of years later, people sent me stuff, you know. They send me stuff, I send them stuff. And it's a real thing. It's not only online. I make friends, invite them to my house. A week from now, Dean HD is gonna come visiting the Netherlands, and we're gonna make some road trips together. You know, it doesn't only stay online. It doesn't only stay on screen. Actual friendships arise.
Yeah, they do, definitely. Like I think Ricardo wants us to address a point here. He said that he reached enlightenment at a young age, but I forced it. Now I'm living in karma for being impatient. And then he follows up with this by saying, does that make sense? You're looking a bit puzzled. No, I wasn't looking puzzled by reading your comment, Ricardo.
It's the
but
sake.
yeah,
It's the sake.
yeah. What do you think about karma? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think Ricardo somehow thinks it's important, and I remember that he mentioned this in the past at one point. But what are your thoughts on that? Because karma can be a real thing. It can be a blowback from
No,
the.
karma, per definition, is a real thing. It's a physical thing, right? But sometimes people use the word karma as a judge and an executioner, and that's not what karma is. Karma is gamma, right? It's alpha, beta, gamma, right? And it has to do with mind waves. And, well, no, I don't want to get too deep into this, but gamma is basically doing stuff, right? Doing stuff right. So if you build a house that has no rock beneath it, it's going to sink into the ground. That's karma. That's karma. So if your house is going to fill or going to flood, it's because you didn't build it on a rock, right? That's karma. Karma is the same thing. It's karma, and karma is the physical reality. But people use the word karma. It's like, oh, that's karma. If you do this, it's going to happen to you. No, karma is not a judge. It's not
Right.
But people use it in that manner when
They do. They do.
right, and it's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's just it's the equation of action, right? It's the result of your action. But the word karma or gamma is actually just action, just physicality. And there's laws in physicality, right? If you think that water is gonna flow uphill, well, karma's gonna get you, because it doesn't flow uphill; it only flows downhill. That's a law of karma. It only flows downhill. If you want to make it flow uphill, you're gonna have to use a lot of force, right? Karma is not hard to understand, and it's not a judge and a jury and an executioner. But people use the word karma like, oh, that's karma hitting on you. No, or karma is a bitch. No. Karma is just karma.
Yeah, and I think that you make a good point in that many people think that karma somehow is like a projective thing that, for example, these groups of people will be doing bad things and they do bad acts, and as a result, there's going to be some retribution for what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I think that the unseen factor of whatever's occurring when they do it, like they use it as a, and here's where I think it fails, is that they use it as a crutch to think, oh, the evildoers will receive bad karma. But our perspective of what they're doing at the time doesn't necessarily reflect the reality of what's occurring.
Exactly.
It's our perspective. Yeah, it's our perspective of these things, and we say, "Oh yeah, karma's going to get them." No. That's not what's going to happen.
No.
Because what we're reflecting on and what we're seeing is a part of our karma necessarily, and if we want to shift those perspectives, and I presented this recently, I think, on a talk, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but there's a German word that means worldview or paradigm, right? And so if our paradigm is undergoing that transformation, then that's the karma that we've generated, but it's not necessarily the karma of the players or actors in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to differentiate between those things, what we see and create as opposed to what we hope to see. And here, I got into this just today with a gal about illusion. I had walked out into the woods across from my academy, and I knew there was a break in my schedule, and so I went out so I could smoke a cigarette, because you obviously can't smoke on a campus. And so I go the entire day without smoking a cigarette, but at lunch, after lunch, I like to go out and have a cigarette, and there's a wooded area across from the academy. And so I go out there, and there was a gal sitting, a really, really good looking young gal, Chinese gal, sitting in the woods. And I rolled up and I sat down across from her. She's on her phone or whatever, and I'm packing my cigarette. And she looks at me, and she starts talking to me and initiating conversation with me. And I started telling her a little bit about magic, right? And I don't want to tell you all of the details, but the essential equation is, she came up to me and she said this, that, or the other thing. And I said, you're seeing what you want to see, right? And this is very different from the reality of what it is. Like, and then I started speaking Chinese to her, and she's like, oh my God, why do you speak Chinese so fluently? And I said, because the entire time you've been seeing what you want to see, right? She saw a young man, good looking young man sitting in the woods, packing up a cigarette right over, and he's going to chat me up. And I'm like, I've been here, nearly 30 years now. And she's like, oh my God, she had to take a closer look. And I said, look closely and you will see the truth, right? And I said, I'm approaching 60.
That's deep, dude. That's
She
deep.
thought I was a hard dick. Yeah, it was kind of a fun thing, you know what I mean? Kind of a fun thing. She's like, here's a young man out in the woods, he's a good looking white guy, taking a smoke break. And yeah. And then immediately she got a call. She's like, I take this call. It's from my colleague. And I'm like, okay, have fun. And I immediately started walking away, and she chased me down to get my contact info. And she's like, let me get your WeChat or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine. I said, but you're still just seeing what you want to see.
You old man, wise dick. I want to have your number.
I'm wobbling off with my fucking cane, barely able to make it up the hill, struggling to get away from her.
Old man, hard dick. I want to have your number.
I mean, what kind of horse shit is that, right? You know what I mean? But for me, it was like, yeah, fuck, a beautiful manifestation of a pretty young flower. Perfect. But I have to face reality at my age. You can't play games, You have to, and that's where I thought where Master Knee went wrong, in my opinion, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play the game, you know. Hey, I'm exactly what you want. I'm the illusion you think I am, but I can't do that because I have sincerity and I have dignity, and I think in some way, Master Lee, even at the top of his fucking game, he somehow lost dignity in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's just my opinion. And is that his karma? You know, and it's like, should I play the fucking game too? And he would tell me yes. He'd be like, fuck that pussy right now and take the money and don't worry about it because you're a master. You know, and I don't know.
That sounds ugly.
Does it? It somehow does, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I gotta tie it up, man. I gotta go to bed. It's fucking 10:30. I fucking love you being here, Voy. I really appreciate you coming in to chat with me tonight, man.
Likewise, Frank. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you want to tell the audience at home, or I mean, anything to sub? Do you have a channel?
No, I don't have a channel. Now, of course, I do have a channel, but people that are here know me. So.
Okay, good magic. I appreciate that, and
see you on the next one.
Much love to you. Yeah, absolutely. Spiritual progress, man. This is what I'm all about. I really I dig it. It's good magic in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. Ricardo Sunshine, he says he wanted to do the right thing, but his family didn't support him. And I think Void dipped out. Yeah, I was hoping I could get some final words, but yeah, no. So fun stuff. And to taper off that last little experience with that gal, good fun. And to be honest with you, it was exactly what I was looking for. It was like, I really, really want this thing. But when I walked away from it, I was like, I don't know, was I somehow, yeah, take the money and run. Exactly. Get your bag. Was I somehow proud? Yeah, somehow. Because like I had cut off an illusion, right? Because so many people they go into the world and they experience in this world and other people will trick you, you know, Coca-Cola, cool cigarettes, Camel, Budweiser beer, I mean whatever, McDonald's. They're just selling you the illusion. And somehow I was the guy stepping forward saying, yeah, you don't need all that. You don't need the $10 hamburger. You could just take the 50-cent bowl of soup and experience it and enjoy it. And it's actually more nutritious than this other thing. And it costs far less. And somehow that's what we have to constantly offer to the world. It's just our own work and give forward. But here's the thing, guys. I want to tell you a secret. She contacted me later on the old phone here, and she asked me for a favor because they're coming back tomorrow. They're attending some lectures at the academy where I work. And she's like, hey, can you do this thing for me? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. And she's like, will you sit with me during the lecture? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could. But I'm reluctant, you know, but good God. Yeah, I probably will nonetheless. And so I'm going to pull a master knee. At the end of the equation, I am going to pull a master knee. But I'll be very careful because these are very dangerous situations that we encounter. Like when everything seems like pure bliss and you're at the top of your game and it's like, oh, wow, these are wonderful things that obviously I want and they're manifesting in my life. You need to realize that this is when Hercules was most challenged. And the one Greek word, hubris, comes into play with absolute clarity. Pride cometh before a fall. And so as long as I approach it in a humble manner, and if I see that little guy out there, hey, master, can ask this question and I address that with sincerity, then I think I will do no wrong. And there was an old Buddhist that told me, I was up on the temple, I think it was in, I don't know, fucking Shanghai or Philippines or something, and I climbed a Buddhist temple, and the old master told me, he said, hey, do no bad act, and you're done. As long as each day you do no bad act. Do nothing that sacrifices your dignity. And you're good. You're good. You're fucking good to go, man. You're golden. And I can appreciate that. Thank you again for everybody for being here. Ricardo Sunshine. I wish I could host you for a little while, man, and talk to you and Creek Mary. As said, the old Streamlabs only allows one guest at a time. So I am super fucking grateful that I had Ricardo, that I had Voy here. And all of you to tune in as well. Keep doing good magic, y'all. Y'all good looking, sexy motherfuckers. Until next time, Frank Monday coming at you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone Old Peking, deep behind the bamboo firewall. Hit the thumbs up, everyone. And I'm going to finish off with the invocation of total integration after I address Miss Creek Mary's comment. Said, if the freak pastor wives out in white church when the Indian women said, of course, don't counsel women because of sex. I don't get it. I can't decode it. You have to explain it. It freaked the pastor's wives out. The pastor's wives do white church and the Indian women said, of course. Yeah, I don't get it. I'll finish off with the invocation of total integration. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous, universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily caves are brightly illuminated by the cinnabar fields of elixir, the three Dantian bridge points leading to immortality. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions of the octahedron combine our being with the true origin of life, the seed of Tao. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions conjoin. This divine order is given by the highest sovereignty. It is a jade oracle from the subtle origin. Invoke with strong sincerity to drive away the demons and evils and lengthens one's healthy years. The attained spirits respond. The evil demon king, Mo Wang, is chained to stand as our garden servant. The powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity. The Qi of Tao, life breath of eternal existence, is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. Abrahadabra. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power, silence is strength, will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. Until next time, neophyte, wander into the abodes of the future, ad astra prosperum. Thank you, Creek Mary. Good to see you again. Everyone out in Happy Land, everyone who joined tonight, shout out, Ricardo Sunshine, love you, brother. Kisses, fucking salutations. Voy, thanks for stopping by. Creek Mary, I'm going to scalp you, you savage, with your barbarous language. I love you. I love y'all good-looking motherfuckers. Out in Happy Land. I'm going to bring you a shrunken head one day. Official what? I don't understand what that is. 007, good to see you, man. Appreciate you coming by. Mr. E. Mary Moon as well. Wow, a lot of fucking people joined in the transmission tonight. Fucking huge gratitude to everyone out in Happy Land. And until next time, do good magic.